I nailed it. I nailed it.
They won't remember what I said from last year.
It was good though. It was about like moving forward and traveling or something.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, oh, get to do fun things. Good.
All right, guys, well, before we start too, just as a point of order, I think we need a hard stop at 3 o'clock. There are people with appointments after this, so we'll respect that time frame for today. I know normally we kind of have an open-ended meeting, but we'll be a little bit different today. So if you don't mind, we'll start with a word of prayer and then we'll call the meeting to order. Father, as we meet together to discuss the rules and the policies that govern this school district, I pray that you would give us a spirit of unity, of collaboration, and that you would guide our directions and all of your wisdom, that you give us discernment to see it, Lord. And it's in your name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
So I will now call to order this meeting of June 4th, 2024. It's a board workshop. We don't have any citizens joining us, so I'm going to skip over that portion of it, and we'll just jump right into the rule development of policies.
Hi, Madam Chair, for chair, do we do that for guys first? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we have some representatives from Neola here with us today, so if you guys would like to help us get started.
Madam Chairman. Good morning. My name is Tom Whitmer, and I'm with Annette Martinson. We are associates with Neola, and we're here to help facilitate the workshop. This is a rule development workshop, okay? It's a preliminary step to the adoption, which will come later. It's not a meeting as such where there'll be votes and motions and such. It's a time to explore, discuss, and formulate with consensus the bylaws. Now, the chapter, you may be surprised to see the numbering system. These are numbered according to Neola's system, and the reason is that Neola issues updates periodically, and in order to find the subject matter for each update, you have to have a similar policy number. So that's one thing we really have to keep if we're going to use the Neola update system. And the 0 chapter is the bylaws. The 1s, 3s, and 4s, 1,000, 3,000, 4,000 are the human resources, and it goes on from there. But today we're doing the 0 chapter of the bylaws. And we'll put it on the screen. There are a lot of simple. Many boards get through this in 3 hours, the whole thing, but not always. Sometimes we have to meet again, and that's fine. But want everybody to be comfortable with it. This one is about the definitions that are located throughout the manual. All kinds of things in here to define stuff. And like one of the important things is superintendent is defined to include the designee of the superintendent, principal also. But they're, relative, close relative, and things like that.
So I just clicked on the pencil, which means I'm going to write something, and just because it's very apparent, the board is the school board of Clay County. And so I will put that in there, what is happening.
You make the screen bigger too.
So before we start, can I just ask a question? All of the laws have been updated in here to match current state statute, correct? Okay,
Yes.
that's what I want to make sure.
Now, I do want to tell you, we are in the legislature just met, and we are literally going tomorrow to a 5-hour meeting. We've been working on updating policies, and I'm not sure, off the top of my head, I don't think there were any bylaws. But that's part of this process. Because we'll be in the middle of it, we will get our people to infuse it into your policy project so that you're not out of date as soon as you adopt.
Okay.
And so, but it's just with policy and bylaws, it's constant. Every time the legislature meets, we're going to update anything that's affected. We're going to send it to your contact person. Tom and I will meet with them for a few hours. They'll get staff to work on it, bring it to you, and that's how the process works. So this is the most up to date.
Okay.
It does not have the most recent legislative because we haven't action, because we have not updated, we're working on the update right now.
Can I just ask another real quick question before we start? So let's say we were already done with this process, and let's say next year, the legislators meet again, and they make updates. How does that affect, like, if you make the updates to this, you know, normally we advertise for 30 days and we make our changes. How does that work when we become like part of this type of project?
It's the same thing. You would get the update, it would come to you from Neola.
Okay,
You would enter into your policies, make the changes.
Your staff,
Your staff would do that, or you can hire Neola to do that too, but probably you have people to do that. It's very simple, just edit them in, and then you advertise those, and go to the board with those, and all the changes would be shown with strikeouts and underlines.
because by that point, it's your policy.
so at one time you will do that if there's
Well,
a-
it depends, if there's like, I mean, last year we had 80 policies.
Yeah.
So school boards took them in chunks.
Okay,
Some of them though, even though you haven't adopted them, they say by August 1, you have to, you're responsible for it. But the superintendent will make you aware of all that kind of stuff. But it's just, it's constant.
okay.
The updates come with complete explanation of why it's being changed and little notes about the reasons and everything. So,
You want to explain the definitions?
you know, down here under board, we want to say the school board of, is that how you refer to yourself, as the school board of Clay County? Okay. And then this defines just basically bylaws, chairman, compulsory school age. These are very non-controversial mostly, I wouldn't think. Going down. Due process, information resources, major property. This is a typo here. Non-consumable, I guess it's hyphenated.
Hyphen.
And here too, minor.
And just so you know, like if we miss something grammatically or how it's laid out, we have a production team that goes through and we call it, they're the cleaners. They clean everything up, so, but
The definition of parent is in here. This is the statutory definition.
so these are all the definitions within the bylaws. If anyone wants says, well, what does superintendent mean? What does student mean? Here, wireless communication devices. This one needs, here's an option. You're going to read this sentence and you're going to say, okay, this is us, or this is us, or both of them are us.
Do you want to
Right.
include telephone paging devices and beepers in there or not?
That seems sort of old language. You all don't use that,
Or
so.
web-enabled devices of any type?
We pick an option when we get to these type
Right.
places.
Yes.
So this is pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like this is old language, so I would strike this.
But what about the web-enabled? Does anybody have a feeling about that? Web-enabled devices of any type?
Okay, when they talk about WCDs, wireless communication devices include computers, laptops, and other web. Do you guys use any kind of tablets or any kind of readers or?
Tablets are in there, readers are in there.
I would say I think web-enabled is appropriate.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll mark that.
That covers the
The
one.
beepers and pagers can be
Then they invent something new.
There are some places that still use it.
Hospitals still use pagers.
And that's the end of that dialogue.
So this was a great one to start with, which we always do the definition. It sort of shows you what we're going to do. We're going to read it. We're going to get your input. You're not going to vote on anything. We sort of build consensus like you just did around the web entitled devices. And then what I do, just so you know, just because your staff's going to be doing, the staff's going to be doing the same thing, is I go back up here and I put my initials that we've talked about it. I put the date, and that tells our production department, if there's a question, they know who to call.
Today's the 4th.
If today's the 4th, that would help. And I put a star. I'm the only person, Kelly, I'm the only person that puts a star on these. Because, for Tom. And then I save it, it drops to the bottom, so you don't have to scroll through everything every time.
Next one is the address, very simple.
Let me just, I've missed a step, but I won't take the time to fix it right it's, I don't know what's, obviously you can see the dots, it's thinking. And let me just,
The pay lists all the statutes related at the end of each one. You can see up there. Okay, those are all the
come on, baby.
statutes.
I need to move
Plus they
this to
warrant
policy
it.
project revised.
They're responsible. That it's compliant.
Something almost,
500
500 walnut?
I think so.
900.
Or 900.
900 walnut.
I like, I said, I don't know.
I thought it was
I
900.
only knew Walnut
But I
Street.
wanted to make sure.
I thought sure.
Green Cove's
Is it 900?
32043.
Yeah,
900 walnut.
900
900
walnut.
walnut.
Statute language to it, bring it to
You could
the
just-
board.
So
And
Chair,
Official address is 900 to Walnut Street,
Walnut Street,
You have to wait 28 days.
Green Cove
The
Springs.
history of the
We're gonna
word.
go down.
so is it 900 Walnut Street?
Except
Yep.
That's what it is on the internet.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
They have a team of lawyers.
I don't use that address very often.
900 Walnut, 32043.
We're like
Drowning,
doing
trying to
18
figure it out.
things.
Yeah.
What's going on with,
Yeah.
board docs?
Could be our internet. Look at us getting through 10 pages already.
I have, working for me, do you want to use my Alex one?
10 or 40. 9.
Green Coast Springs,
Green Coast Springs.
and the zip?
32043.
Yep.
Is it anything substantive? Yeah, we're good. Because you can't, if it's for the days, it would be impossible.
Next one is seal, it says the board will adopt an official seal. You know the other thing that you print?
Yeah, we would do one that is the logo.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that's fine, we don't have to do anything with that.
Time to change it.
Wait a second, this is really slow, so just.
And it says in
What'd you say about
contrast
the
to the
seal?
cover. Oh, it's
It's
true.
That was the whole thing. It was already, it was just changed 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It was the thing.
That was a total joke.
Now, the old.
Change up
one was-
everything,
the old one
zero
was
desire
around-
to do that.
The old one was around for
Probably opened okay, but
40 years.
I was gonna say, since
They
probably
really needed a
a facelift, yeah.
facelift, but now, there's some people saying it looks like an ice cream cone with shrimp on top of it. With the-
And you said the
Yeah.
seal is good, it's good as is?
I can't unsee that now.
So that's a thing. I've heard people comment that.
look like a shrimp. Sorry. Are we still on the seal one?
No, it's
Approve
just-
that one.
Oh.
You can see I'm waiting on board docs, I don't know what the.
Yeah, this is the little thing that says it's thinking.
A lot of people must be online today. So the next one is 0118.
Are you guys working from hard copies or?
Yeah, we got paper too.
Hard
Yeah.
copy.
Maybe a both. Well, purpose of the board is just a short explanation of what it is that you do. And I know you have something like that in your current policies.
Do you want the hard copy that I have? Would that be helpful?
We don't need it.
No. we don't.
Okay.
I'm getting that, like, trigger finger, I've just gotta wait and let the thing.
It starts out, the board is a legal entity for providing public education. And then the board has dual responsibility for implementing statutory requirements and for meeting the desires of the citizens.
I wish there was
It's
something.
very generic language. It declares and reaffirms intent to maintain open communication with the citizens, inform of progress and problems, establish policies and make decisions on the basis of declared philosophy and goals, and act as a truly representative body for. So it's really very generic and non-controversial.
I like it.
Are you all good with this one?
There's
Okay.
no choices here, so. That's 0118. And then the next one, which I'm gonna go ahead and,
Yeah, go ahead and start.
is responsible as authority of the board, a little more specific about how it's responsible for the organization and control, and is empowered to determine policies necessary. Board is constituted by the Constitution and Florida statutes. And that's it. So it's just a short paragraph.
121.
Says where you get your authority from and cites to the Constitution. Is everybody happy with that?
At the end of each section, do we just say that's good or something?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
And I'm sorry it's moving slow, I just, I'm.
We can go forward with using the paper copies.
I can't.
Let's go to financial emergencies. That's the next one, 121.1.
Just keep, I'm way behind.
Now, in the event there's a financial emergency, the statutes are pretty clear about what you have to do. And this simply regurgitates that.
I'm good with this one.
And the advantage of this, having this here, is that the public knows it's an easy place to find everything in one place to describe the board and what you're going to do in a certain situation.
So when will all this be published? When we vote on it? It'll go live? Okay. That's what
Yeah, this project is probably going to take about a year. So now I would say next spring, you'll be,
But all of this won't be on there
Now,
till next spring?
You vote on everything,
As a whole?
you rescind everything and adopt everything at one time so that you're not in conflict
Right.
with something.
yeah, you don't adopt the policies piece by piece, you take it all at once it's done.
So we currently don't have a bylaw section,
We do.
Right.
so, but you're saying because it might incorporate other parts of our policy, you wait to do it all at once?
It's better to do it that way. You have some elements of the bylaws in your policies now.
Okay.
You define things and you have a statement of what the board does and where it is and all that.
Okay.
So, you have enough to get by for right now.
Just as a housekeeping, we typically fix each of these bylaws, but it's running slow, so I put by 121, okay, you said that was okay, 121.1, it's okay, and I'm just jumping in now.
Yeah.
So that I don't hold us up.
And remember, this is law as well. So we are abiding by the law, whether it's
Right.
actually written out in what we
So-
I want to be able to tell, people, our stakeholders, all that they can, where they can go find all of these changes and see stuff, because a lot of times people do confront us about state statute, about law, and I can send them to the DOE website or, certain things I can send them, but it would just be very beneficial to be able to say, hey, go look on our board page and you will find everything you possibly need to know in the order you need to know.
Each one of the policies have all the state statutes hot linked.
Right.
So if they look at a policy, they can go right to the hot link and pull it up.
Would most counties who use Neola have very similar bylaws, so that if we wanted to show somebody what we're working on?
Right. You have the capability now that you're a Neola district, you can go to another, like Lee, so I like to go to size districts, like Lee's,
Alachua?
Alachua, there, and you can go right onto their website, click on bylaws and pull them up.
So we could show them what we're working on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
So they could counteract.
Okay, let's move on to
Being conflict going on that you only adopt.
board powers is in
Adopt
0122.
just one, section one.
I find policies fascinating, but most people don't ask me.
one word can absolutely change the way a policy is interpreted,
Yeah.
Shall or will,
or may.
or may.
Can we just remember this page as a board though? Sorry, I have to say this out loud.
What, board powers?
Board
Board
powers.
powers, that we as a board, I know our job is policy and budget, but everything can be dictated through policy, and I don't like to use that word, but knowing, you know, there are times where I know people are like, well, we can't do that because that's not in our realm of quote-unquote powers, but we can through policy. So as a board moving forward, while we're doing this and changing policy and creating policy, if we want to see our change that we view in the district, we can do that through policy. And I know that's common sense, but I feel sometimes we forget that when creating policy. Is that correct, Mr. Blocker?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. Y'all, the policy holders and set the policy for the district.
And I just, aside, is just following by statute, you know.
Well, it seems like the wording on this board powers, a lot of it I know is direct wording from statute, so.
That's where we.
Almost word for word.
That's where we get it.
No, I like it. I'm just saying, can we just remember this when we move forward making these policies?
So are we good with
Yeah.
122.1?
Now, the next one is 0123, and there's two versions of this. We'll show them both to you. The version one is, what you will do is choose one of these versions. Waiting for it to load.
Are we on standards for boardmanship?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, I'm sorry, say that again?
Standards for boardmanship.
Okay, one of these, version one is the version that has been published by the NSBA. Okay? Version two is the version that's been published by the FSBA. Most districts in Florida choose the FSBA, but you can have either one you want.
And as soon as it.
I would like to go with the FSBA since we are no longer, FSBA is no longer affiliated with NSBA, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
Okay, that'd be version two then.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
when I read these version two, the words seem more compatible with the way we operate. That's
Good.
my only thinking of version two.
Yeah, okay, good.
So I'm gonna pull up version 2. Do you wanna look at it or do you just wanna say yes?
I've read it.
I already read it.
Good, okay, so I'm gonna put okay and I'm gonna write delete. To keep us moving, I'm gonna track them as close as, all right, 124, ethical behavior.
Yeah, the next one is 0124, standards of ethical behavior. Now, there's two options here. And you are required to have a written standard of ethical behavior. And option one is very detailed.
Very detailed.
And it's based on the Code of Ethics of the Education Profession in Florida, the Principles of Professional Conduct. And it's basically, it repeats that. Obligation to the public, and the obligation to the profession. And then you come down to option two, and it doesn't, okay.
Yeah, I was confused about this one when I read it. What is option 2?
Option 2 is that you see drafting note, drafting note.
If your district prefers to develop ethical standards unique to the district, you can delete all of option one and insert your own specific standards of ethical conduct below.
Okay, so option 2 would be us coming up with our own.
Correct.
Option 1 is adopting
Yeah.
their language.
And currently on option A1, choose the option to allow board members to accept gifts. We currently are at the state limit is $50.
$50.
Yeah.
Is what we follow already?
Which that's fine with me.
So under gifts, we would check 50, valued in excess of $50.
Okay,
I did have a question on letter A, number 10, where we get specific about what sex includes. Is that language legally required, or can we just leave it at sex, disability, without what's in parentheses?
Okay. I believe that this is now part of the code, which is an administrative rule from DOE. But you can say it any way you want. You can certainly change that wording, take
Okay,
it
well,
out.
personally, I'm comfortable with everything except on number 10 there where we have things in parentheses, I'd like to get rid of that.
After
Same-
the word sex.
Yeah, after the word sex, and after the word disability. And then on C2, it's the same language again, after sex and after disability.
Do we have consensus with the group on that?
Hang on for just a minute, please.
Okay.
The disability part, what was the second one?
And you just want to make sure so that it's not pinpointing a direct definition.
Yes.
Is your reason?
So you're basically leaving it
It's
bottom
open,
line.
yes.
Sex includes everything,
Sex
disability
everything.
includes
Disability
everything.
includes any
I
kind of
like
disability,
that.
yeah. I don't want to be
Mhm.
specific about what those things mean.
I don't want to be specific because it'll exclude something that we don't,
I think
aren't thinking about at this point.
Yes.
Okay,
I'd rather leave it
So,
open, yeah.
so I'm gonna,
And what was the other one?
It's the exact same language on C2.
C2, there it is,
all
yeah.
right, let me take care of, including this. Now, just read 10, and I have it the way you want it,
Yep, that looks good.
and then C2, the same thing.
There's disability there also, the paragraph premises. And you know what? This language appears in a number of policies about discrimination, and we will make the same changes to all of them for you, so you don't have to worry about that.
That would be good.
Okay, include disability, and then
C2.
take
Take
out.
out including HIV, AIDS, and sickle.
I know why people are confused.
So that is there, any place else.
No.
Now, back to the top, there was
Do
a,
this for a long time.
the option 1, and then there is it sounds like you're gonna go with option 1 because it's written, you don't have to
Yeah.
rewrite it. What about board members must, that this is,
Must have a sincere desire to serve the educational needs of the community. Decisions must be based on the best interests of students and not on political or personal interests. You can check that or not.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
absolutely.
Okay.
I feel like that's when you swear in, you say.
And then delete all that note after option 2. At the bottom,
take this out, take this out.
and then further down, it talks about mandatory training, 4 hours of ethics training,
That's required by law.
calendar year, that's there.
Yeah.
And the gifts would be $50 limit.
So this is just a note, I'll take this out. And then, do you want,
That's the
since you picked 1A, you don't pick 2, and I'm gonna delete it.
I might still have mine.
And remove that.
I do.
So this is good?
I was gonna say, I'll bring this to I still have it, yeah. Mhm.
The next one is 0131 legislative policy making, and this is the rulemaking process. What we want is for these bylaws to match and agree with what you actually do right now, unless you think there's some deficiency and you want to change the way you do it. But this is, what it lays out here is just a statutory procedure. There was
Which is what we follow.
in the deregulation bill that passed a couple months ago from the legislature, they had a part that said that you can have policies, operational policies, they call them. They didn't call them rules. They didn't change the definition of rule or the way you make a rule. So really, that is about just guidelines and local operational policies, not rules. So this really lays out the full process here, if you want to.
So just to make sure that our current process matches this language and there's.
We would like, yes, we'd like to have
So-
this language match what you do now.
So typically, when we're forming a new policy, it's brought to the board in a workshop format, once the language is
And this
formed.
permits that, that's not contrary to what this is.
Then it's advertised on the
Yes.
board agenda, and then the 28-day waiting period, then a public hearing.
Exactly.
You don't have to have a hearing, but you're allowed to have that if you want. Certainly, the board can do that.
We always have the hearing.
So it's not a requirement to have a public hearing at the
No.
end of the policy making?
It's a requirement if somebody asks for it who's affected, but it's not a requirement if it's not.
We've always
I
thought
thought
that
it
was
was
just a
required.
requirement of the
Yeah.
statute, I figured.
So since we're on this real quick, I just went to a FSBA training, and I want to talk about that, because you will know the answer to this. That 28-day wait period. They were saying how you can make changes, like so if someone were to call and we
That's
decide
the
the
person-
first 27 days of the notification period, you can make changes, but on day 28, you cannot.
Up further in there.
Do you know anything
I did the
about
same
that?
thing. I looked at it.
Wait, say that again?
When you advertise the 28-day period,
Yeah.
they were saying how, it came from FSBA, it was a lawyer, saying how you can make changes to it before the 28th day, as long as you read those
Well-
changes on the 28th day.
The thing is this, that the purpose of the 28 days is to allow the public to comment.
Right.
So if you make a change anywhere in there, you're shortening the time for the comment. By the time you reach the 28th day, there's no time for comment. So you truly could not do it on the 28th day. But what you could do, I would not recommend it. Mr. Barker may,
I was just trying to figure out what they meant, because they said if a group of public people came to you and you decided to make changes, we don't make any changes in that period
after
at
it's
all.
been advertised, yeah.
Right.
The way to do that is for them to submit something in writing to the board about what they want, or come to the public hearing if they want that, make comment, and based on that input, you can then change the policy
Okay.
before adoption.
If you guys choose to.
But then,
Do you
but
have to
let me
advertise again?
You may have
clarification,
to.
it
You
would
may
have
have
to
to.
be another 28-day
28 days.
advertising.
Yeah, you may have to do another
Right,
20 days
right.
if it's substantial.
That's what you can talk to them.
And just to, and correct me if you have a different view, I think the purpose of that is to give the public,
Right, so they literally can.
on this due process, they have time
And the
to.
public's not going to make the change, the board would make the change.
So when you advertise, normally, we just go and we have the hearing, and then we're done, right? We vote.
Then you wait the 28
Correct.
days.
What they're saying is if a group of people really wanted to talk to you, it would be at that hearing, and so we have to be willing to be able to make changes on that 28th day based on the hearing. We can decline, or we can accept, or make changes on the 28th day.
What we would do
Then
procedurally
you have
in that
28
situation,
then it's advertised for 28
if the board agreed we want to revisit this policy, we would table it to the next agenda. And that way, we would have an opportunity,
Right. but it was
correct?
advertised
See, I don't know,
Do we
she said they meet with them tomorrow, where she could check it out. It made sense to me when you were saying it.
Not
Who is your, you were at
Tina will
advance?
know, put it on.
Tina? We'll talk to Tina.
She'll know, you're the guy in charge of the whole
Tina Pingus.
FSBA
No,
advance
you can
forum.
table it with a specific date.
And so
or
maybe-
things
There you
like
go.
I think Ms. Gilhousen, she's gonna ask them what it meant tomorrow. She's
I'm gonna
gonna see
follow
them
up on that.
tomorrow.
If that makes sense.
I would say though, that even if you go ahead and make a substantive change to the policy after you've advertised it once, you're gonna probably have to advertise it a second.
What they said was you would read, the chair, if we agreed on changes, the chair would read those changes, striking out the old language, but I did not hear anything about re-advertising, so that maybe somebody could check on that.
Okay.
I think you would have to re-advertise.
I think you do have to re-advertise, but we can check. Another thing is, we want to make sure that y'all give yourselves, as a board, as much flexibility as possible, so y'all are not confined, and so you have some flexibility, but we can check on.
I was in a district that always did it where they had the first reading, and then the next board meeting, they had the second reading. And then they may have had a hearing in there somewhere, but at the second reading, they voted right after the public comment was over with. So they gave the board no time to consider it, or research it, or
That's kind of what we do right
go
now.
into it.
If ever there was a point where we had a policy after, we had a public hearing and people brought forward concerns about the policy, if a board member said, I'm not comfortable moving forward, then we could respect that
Yeah.
as a
Yeah,
board and
sure.
say, we have a workshop and we have another regular meeting. We can make the adjustments tonight that we think we need to make, or we could do it at the workshop.
And I like the
And
fact
then vote on
that
it.
we're talking about that, because it always seems strange that no matter who shows up, we just go ahead and vote, like we don't.
Well, we've never had anybody speak at a public
Nobody's
hearing.
ever,
Oh, some people do. No,
No,
I
they
don't think,
never
we-
have.
I don't think I've
Maybe,
ever
you
had.
know what?
well, one of them will be
I
right.
think we did, yeah, you're right, we did once, and then I think we did recently too.
Yeah.
I think we had somebody
But
reach
they
out.
say speak, but it's not, but the board at that point doesn't make any changes.
Right, the board
I mean,
hasn't.
it's like, okay, we
Right.
understand your concern, however, this and I think there
So
was
the
one
chair would
where
ask if we want
somebody
to
said, yeah,
make
absolutely.
changes or not?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just curious, because I didn't understand when they said it.
Yeah.
And keep in mind too, that policy is fluid. So even after we've ratified a policy,
Yeah.
at any point in time, we can take it up again.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
any of these.
Right.
And that's a real good example of why you all handle the policies and your superintendent does administrative procedures and they don't, their documents. If he needs to change something in one day, he can because it's an unsafe situation. That's, that's why he does that and the policies are more,
Okay, thanks for checking on that.
yeah, I'll follow up. I don't know what's going on with Word docs. We think maybe it's.
I'm gonna give you my laptop and I'm gonna get a Chromebook.
Okay, we're gonna see if I can get on I'm on
You wanna
guest
use mine?
and not your.
I'm not using it.
We're not using ours.
I'll use Miss Bola's, fellas. I'll grab hers. Okay, thank you. And then I'll bring mine over during.
Now, the next one
131.
is about technical corrections. And this is where you have a small, unimportant change to a policy. You might change a phone number or the name of a person to contact or something like that. And you can do that through a technical change, meaning just make the change, put it on the consent agenda, and approve it. You don't have to go through the public advertisement because it doesn't affect anybody's interest in the public. It's just a what they call a technical change. Might be a change of statute, number.
Or maybe a typo.
Or I'll tell you a big one that happens
It could
every
be a
year.
typo if it's not changed the meaning.
A big one is we call it the dirty dozen, all the, you have all the people who interview for harassment and different things like that. You change those names when the people change their positions. Well, that doesn't need to go through the 28-day. It needs to go on the consent agenda and get into your policy. So that's what that is about. That's another example.
I don't think there's any.
You know what, I think I need to I have to sign in on my own so I can do the things I have to do.
Okay. Oh, yes, to the board docs, yes.
And do you have a mouse?
Do you have a mouse?
Oh, here. No, I can get mine.
I don't.
I got it.
These are the choices in this bylaw for what you say can be a technical correction. Okay? Consolidation of sections. Not changing words, just consolidating. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Transfer of sections.
Give me 5, just give me 3 minutes.
Okay, I'll take it.
Because I'm only on 131.
So none of these options change the guts of it, it
No.
just changes the actual layout.
Combining or dividing sections, renumbering sections, chapters and titles, corrections or additions for grammatical or typo errors, which don't change the meaning.
Right.
So what about alterations and omissions? That one I'm unclear
I
about.
don't think that would be appropriate to check.
Because that would change, that could.
It would likely change the meaning if you
The
could
word
do
alteration is.
Right.
You're changing it or omitting something by mistake. No, whatever you advertise is what you've got, so you're gonna have to go back and amend.
And this gives us backup. When a citizen prints something off and they hang on to it, and then 6 months later, we've made this technical correction based on whatever came from the state or whatever, and they say, no, it says this is under this number. And you can say, okay, that number was changed because of whatever. And it's not something that we have to necessarily, it's advertised in the consent agenda, but people might miss that, which makes perfect sense. I mean,
So we're good with everything except for the
the last one.
alterations.
Yeah.
What number is
Okay.
that?
And it does specify not affecting the construction or meeting of these sections.
And then the changes.
That took all the choices except the last. And then 131.2 is variances and waivers. This is the legislature, for some unknown reason, when they were doing what they did, they put the school boards in the category of an agency, like a state, like the Department of State or the Department of Health. And we're not at all a state agency, but we are an agency for purposes of rulemaking and that sort of thing. So there is a provision in the statutes for variances and waivers of rules that agencies promulgate. That's what this reflects. There is a way for an individual person, not an employee, I don't believe, or a student, certainly not a student, but an individual person who's regulated by the, I guess employees would be, to petition the board for a waiver of the policy that applies to them. And they have to make the petition, the board has to advertise it, I think, and then can make the change. It's complicated. I don't know of any school board that's ever done it this way, but if you want this, you can have it. If you don't think it's important, you don't need it.
What if one day we get someone who asks for a waiver and we don't have this?
I'm
Then is
fine
it just
with
like a
keeping
free
it.
for all?
I don't know that they'll ever use it, but I'm fine with keeping it.
Okay, well, it's not gonna hurt anything to keep it, but.
If anything, it could help us in a really obscure situation. We've faced obscure situations, so
131.2.
let's keep it.
There we go. Now we have we know what to do. That's what, like with the financial one, I felt like we should start that with, God forbid, should a financial arise.
I don't know what's happening with board docs, guys, sorry. It's moving real slow.
132 is the executive. And this describes that the superintendent is the executive officer. It's not loading up for me either. Here it is. Obviously, you guys do not here appoint the superintendent, so that option would be struck.
Yep.
Do you want me to do it?
Or since you're on one, how about if I use yours?
Okay.
Now, I will tell you, we've had discussion about hiring, as a board, an internal auditor. So I don't know if we would need to include that in this language. No, it's not something we have decided to do, but it is something we're considering.
Florida statute indicates that the board can have an internal auditor that reports to the board. Would that, that's what you're asking, would that fall?
Right, I would think that would fall under here.
Would that be executive, though?
Well, that would be,
Power, they just have.
No, I think this is particularly for boards that hire the superintendents.
This is legal counsel.
But it says legal counsel also.
Yeah.
the
So I
board
wasn't
does
sure if
hire
it's
legal counsel.
is it a catch-all for any individual that the board specifically hires, or
No,
is
it's-
it just for executive
Legal
authority?
counsel, yeah.
Okay.
In your case, the first option is struck, and it would be the,
What number are we on? Where's back?
that's delete.
Where's back?
There isn't, that's the is.
So then, do we need to have legal counsel in there?
For some reason.
Okay. I'm double checking.
Yes, you did.
You do need to have legal counsel, okay.
And how do I make that red on yours?
It doesn't do that until you save it.
Okay.
So I guess, just a quick question to follow up on what Ms. Gilhousen said. So if this board decides to hire an internal auditor that reports to us, that would not belong in this section if they're, like our lawyer, we hired our lawyer, if we hired an internal auditor, would it belong in this section or no?
I'm saying no, and I think
I
it's
think it
because
would
they
be-
don't have executive authority. They're basically a reporting agency.
Okay.
You could create the position
Yeah,
and then hire, you wouldn't, it doesn't affect your policy.
okay.
And it may, if under policy, it may end up under business.
It may be, yes,
area.
we may be able to put something in the business
Yeah.
chapter.
So this has executive, okay, I get it. Thank you.
Yeah, I was confused about that too, the same thing. But it makes
Okay,
sense.
and there's
after
some other
we look at it.
choices.
Oh, let's fill that in. Where is it? I don't know how to write it.
This is how I do it. Just push down and click on it.
Where is the blank I needed to fill
Mr.
Okay, let's see,
Brodsky,
are there any other choices
can I
in
ask
this?
a question?
in? Said contract to be made in the name
The
of
superintendent.
Clay County Schools.
Yeah. Clay County Schools.
How do you call it?
School District of Clay County.
School District of Clay
Clay County
County?
School District?
Now, a couple of these paragraphs in here talk about the board delegating the authority. And I think really this is written for a appointed superintendent. You can either, I mean, you can do what you want with that. It's,
So in our district, we have dollar amounts in there as to what he can authorize apart from board approval.
okay,
Would we
That's-
need to put that?
No.
in?
No, that's in finance.
that'll be in finance.
Finance.
Rather than say the board delegates, superintendents delegate the authority to take necessary action in circumstances. I mean, I think it would be more appropriate to say he has the authority, because that's part of the statutory duties of the superintendent.
I was just going to say, what's the verbiage in the statute?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have a limit to that authority, right? Up to a certain dollar amount.
That's finance, that's what he just said, that's in the finance area.
This is not a
This
finance
is-
issue.
this is-
Just a general
Yeah.
operational kind of issue. They come
But
up.
yeah, I would agree with the superintendent has the authority.
Do you have a document from like another, district that has a appointed superintendent?
Elected
I'm
Oh, I
superintendent.
meant elected, jeez.
I'm sure we do. I could go on and find that.
I was just curious if the verbiage, or do you know the exact verbiage that we need to change to align with that?
I don't think his duties and responsibilities change based on whether he's elected or appointed. I think if I'm understanding, this just follows the Florida statutes, what they delegate authority to the superintendent for.
If you hire him, you delegate it to him. He was elected, so he has the authority to do it.
So that,
And most
so
of this-
instead of saying delegate, it just has.
Yes.
I mean, it's just a word change.
And most of this is written on the superintendent section of the Florida State Law Book, so it's,
Right,
So we just need to change anywhere it says delegate.
Delegated to have.
yep,
Have, just put have there.
Yeah, the superintendent
Has the-
shall have,
have, yep.
backspace have.
And then, whatever your policy on finance deals with dollar figures, that would apply.
Let me make sure we picked it
And where
up.
you have these Florida statutes hyperlinked,
Mhm.
are those the statutes that specifically spell out the duties of the superintendent?
Yes.
Okay.
And there's also one of them hyperlinked that talks about the process to go from elected to appointed, which you can do.
Okay.
But it's not, you would need that here.
They have tried that many times in Clay County.
Stirred up an appointed that went back to an elected.
Did
That-
they really?
Yeah, one district did that. Which was that?
I can't remember
Marion?
which one. it was.
Lee.
Yeah, Lee,
Lee.
yeah.
They're one of our clients, that's why I know. So
So I
this
guess
is
we're done
done.
with that one.
can be
I've
done.
seen many times.
It's a lot of legwork to change something like that.
It's a
She's doing it on
petition
purpose.
for,
so-
to put it on the ballot, is what it means.
The problem is that I don't know how to run here.
If they don't show up, we just, okay.
Well, I'm tracking the changes
Oh, got
for
it.
Bonnie.
No, you have to do it, you have to make it smaller.
So they say it's shall have or have?
It has.
Has and have. Okay.
Where it says delegated, it should be has.
I just had a quick question. So the part here where it talks about when we have a policy, preparing procedures, you do that for every single policy we have, and then you guys will be updating the procedures as we go through?
We'll be updating the procedures, yeah.
No, we haven't.
For
Now,
each
so the
section.
whole section is done,
I've got to go to,
and they have a template for that also,
we're in the wrong section.
on how that's done. But keep in mind, that's not gonna be,
Let me,
we use a
I know what we
form
did
that
on one
says
of
X, Y, and Z, not that that level.
Let's just move on to the
yeah,
next
but let's go
one.
into there.
More generic and how the policies apply.
So, while they're doing this, I have a question. If we want to create or change a policy or do another policy, we don't have to wait like a year for that, right?
No, thank you, very much.
So,
So like the visitor policy, if we want to do that, then, okay.
You just
Can we
have-
just get one of their examples?
You need it drafted and then place it on an agenda for consideration.
but
Okay, so I
then,
guess that was what we were discussing, how we
so
were
look like
waiting.
that Lee's girl asked us for their visitor policy, you would know what sort of policy they have presented already, and we could use that sort of as a template.
So that's what
Which
I'm
would
saying,
make it
can we
easier
just
to
call
addition.
them
Board member, absolutely.
and be like, hey, do you have your visitor policy?
Yeah, we're 133 now.
Okay.
But
That's what I want to know.
But if you want to know sort of what they've already prepared for other counties, that's a perfect example.
That's what I'll do.
And then also checking.
We don't have it on the screen yet, I guess that's.
And
Then
then,
we would just take the visitor policy, and it comes all up.
but I want to know, like,
We're not posting any of this.
Doesn't
That is great.
places change.
So that gives you time to work on procedural changes all the way up until that.
I then can go compare it to other
Yep.
counties, but I want to know what their original.
Yep, I understand, yeah.
Then we would, we
We're ready to talk about
So I need to write.
kind of procedures.
Okay, the next is the quasi judicial. And this is pretty simple, there aren't any choices here.
I'm good with this one.
This is to, when you deal with disputes and you make decisions, whether it's a student discipline, employee discipline, vendor discipline,
Yes.
you got all those. So, just basically says you have that power to resolve these disputes.
Kelly, I plugged in the hotspot, but
Yes, ma'am.
come up.
Okay, it takes sometimes just a second with
Tom's on his hotspot, it seems to work with his hotspot.
okay, gotcha. Sometimes it just takes a minute.
Just at the end of the mind, everybody gets
So many,
excited.
All the technology.
Free computers.
If you guys look at the following policy,
Where number red,
Yep.
then you'll be.
is it as simple as a policy change for us
Is
to
that
change it from single member district or
That's a regular
from
one.
at large?
That has to be voted on.
I thought so.
Yeah.
So this should
This
just
is
reflect our
because-
current practice.
Correct. These are some of the options
I got you.
that are
Based on
available
what
throughout
it
the
should
state.
be.
In fact, there should be one here for the school board shall consist of 9 members.
We get ours.
They probably don't,
Yeah.
they don't represent them, so they don't have that here.
So when
Yeah.
we get to
So
this-
it would be, consists of 5 members,
This is-
all members shall be elected in countywide election. That's,
this is not a controversial bylaw, it just says you can enter a final order in a normal way, and we have a policy about how to do that and to keep the final orders in order like you're supposed to. But really, is there any controversy on this?
On the quasi.
which one, the quasi judicial?
Quasi-judicial.
No.
You're good?
Yeah, yeah.
Go to the next thing.
Has it here and provide something, because that's
Quasi judicial.
I could, it'd be great.
When you were talking about.
Could you guys give us like a 5-minute break so we can try to get our
Absolutely.
technology?
There we go.
And since you mentioned at some point, I don't remember when,
You should come to
but maybe exploring the option of going through the process.
Can you put me on your week about when your,
Right,
area, individual
right.
guest, and I.
So at this point, if we want to, if say we'd like to explore options, then
It would affect the policy.
But
The
it doesn't
policy
affect the
has to
policy,
be
but it's
what we are doing now.
Currently.
In order for us to
years.
consider
That thing's wrong,
that
but
as
I'll
an
break it
option,
real
we would
fast.
need to have it on the board agenda for discussion and a vote as to whether we want to have it placed on the ballot.
It has to be placed on the ballot
I know
for
that, so it takes some time, right? So if you started.
Well, and it would need to happen quickly because we have.
I guess that's why.
Yes, the technology there.
That's why I was
Like early
asking.
voting, for instance, starts August 8th, but if we wanted to do that for the November election,
That's what I mean, can
For
you
this
do it?
November, do you think there'd be time?
I don't know, we'd have to ask.
We're talking about
We're just talking about
exploring.
becoming single-member districts like the
It's like the
DCC.
county commissioners have
I
said
just see
countywide.
as our district is growing,
It is, it's a lot.
it's a lot.
It just, I like the
Mr.
body.
Blocker?
The end option, however, where it says each member of the board shall serve as the
Have you
representative of the
explored
entire district.
Running for just our district.
Is
Is it possible to get that like onto the November ballot?
Not this November ballot.
It's not possible, so you'd have to wait until the next cycle.
I don't know if you're on.
So we have 2 years.
Because y'all are under a charter, so we'd have to.
The end option?
There would have to, y'all would have to, I think, vote, would have to go to the voters to.
When we
Does
vote,
the
or
county
if we
commission
vote,
have to vote on it also?
I need to check on that. I think they have final.
It's like the millage. When we wanted to do the millage, we have to send everything through the county commission
Because y'all are chartered.
to be able to, yeah. Now, the bottom line, at the end of options, it says each member of the board shall serve as the representative of the entire district.
Yeah.
That is critical.
Absolutely.
Because if we ended up doing single-member districts, what the BCC runs into, and any of them will tell you this, they don't agree on what should happen across this county for one particular district. I mean, there's frequently conflict.
We would
Well,
want to
and you
keep
know,
that.
the
And
county
that's
commission
the
used,
huge drawback.
the county commission used to have that makeup that you see at the bottom, 5 members, I don't know if it was 5, but elected by single-member districts and 2 that were at large.
They tried that for a while,
They
but
did do
that's,
that for a
yeah.
while.
That's because y'all went to
And
the
that
charter
fell
government,
through.
so Florida statute allows you to have 7 county commissioners, you have 5 plus 2. But the
Yeah.
charter government's a different, so y'all went with the charter, which took it back to just
I
5.
think the charter revision, yeah, the charter revision committee said no.
And so if we decided to bring it up at a workshop and then we voted,
Yeah.
Yeah,
then that
Number
process
is
takes a long time for them.
They got elected.
You just need to put it on the November ballot, so we have to go
The
on.
following November ballot?
Right, so there's just not enough time now to get it.
No.
Oh, awesome,
To just
thank
get
you.
the county commissioner.
I'm back.
commission
Thank
work.
you.
Because
All right, you're in
They're
business.
kind of a charter.
Yeah, this is the number of board members, okay?
we have 5,
You have 5, so we take the first choice.
and all members shall be elected in a county-wide.
Yes. All 5 are elected. Count is the 4th option.
Right. And
4th
that's
from there. Take that and strike the others. And then each member serves as representing the entire district rather than a
Yep.
single member.
keep that.
There is a process for changing that, but,
No.
yeah.
Why would you have 3 elected, or what?
The single-member district, and then they have 2 county-wide
Yeah, why would
Did you
you
hear
do
what we were just talking about? So the
Sorry.
county commission runs into a problem sometimes where they have commissioners who are passionate about their particular district
Yeah.
and they're not thinking at large. So when you have 5 that are single member and 2 that are at large, you can balance that.
I see. Okay, so 5 still stay the same as single district, but then you have 2.
2 at large, yeah. Which our county
Yeah,
commission,
7.
our county
And
commission
how-
said that, but then they.
Then we were talking about how there's conflict sometimes,
There's
but we want to
discussion.
do it in Fleming Island, well, I don't necessarily want to do it in Oakley, sort of thing.
You're deciding
And
on
those
where
two-
your funds are going.
Those 2 other people help sort of balance those dissents.
Unless the county makes it 3
Are getting paid and who's not.
I get it.
So that's why that last comment, after the end of options, that each of us represent the whole district, all schools, yeah.
You know, one of the challenges with that is that if you represent one district, then it becomes the allocation of resources.
Right.
That's what we just said.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We don't want that anyway.
And I'm like, okay, that could be challenging because everybody wants for their district rather than all.
It makes getting
Are we gonna build a new school in my district?
Yeah.
Okay, well, hey, I'm glad you guys resolved that.
But it really, you can rest, Mr. Rusty, unless you were not.
Maybe go to the restroom again, just let me know, things get solved there.
Okay, we're now at 141.2, conflict of interest. And this just repeats the ethical standards in the Florida statutes
Right.
about things like gifts and other prohibited gifts, honoraria, doing business with one's agency, unauthorized compensation, disproportionate benefit, misuse of public position, disclosure of information, and employees holding office. And then voting conflicts and how you, if there is a voting conflict, you have to declare it. So it goes down to some individual provisions at the bottom there about not accepting gifts and not participating in trips. Unsolicited.
happen.
All right, very good.
It's
Yep.
fine.
You okay with that?
Yes.
Good. Conflict of interest is done, 141.2. Next one is 141.3, conflicting employment or contractual relationship. Again, from the Florida statutes, it's chapter 112. Can't hold any employment or contractual relationship with a business entity or any agency which is doing business with the district. And there is an option at the bottom there. It says language describing this prohibition shall appear in all contract documents, requests for proposals, requests for quotes, and if violated shall be sufficient cause to disqualify a vendor. You don't have to put that in here if you don't want, but you can do that.
It seems like.
Do we
good
have
language.
anything in that now? I don't believe we do.
No, I don't think so.
For the RFPs and stuff, I've not seen that.
You don't have to have it, so
No.
Well, you know, someone told me about if you have language when you're doing this, then it's not really so much for us. It's so the people who are binding into a contract know they can't talk to us about it. Like, is that the same? Like, do we have something like that?
there will be
They
a
call
policy,
it
and that's called
something-
cone of silence.
Yeah, that's not, would be in this section though?
No.
This is different.
Different section?
It's similar but different.
Similar but different.
So I think what you're going with is more like procurement and bidding,
Yeah.
Finance.
just like a,
So do we need it or not need it? Do we decide?
We don't need
We
it.
don't care?
That's right.
I'm gonna strike this.
The whole thing?
No.
The whole?
No, just that, just,
I was like, okay,
just that little section at the
Okay.
very end.
I missed that.
The optional one, we don't need that.
Mary's on it.
I was like,
The next one is only one sentence, it's called qualifications. Each member of the board shall meet the qualifications specified.
Oh, come on, I don't
statute.
think, no, I'm kidding.
Okay, just like
You
you.
I'm not qualified?
Are you telling me? I don't care about your opinion. This is,
The next one is oath.
Hold on, let me, you said one,
Look at us go, I'm so proud of us.
140, qualifications, I can take care of that,
Yeah.
there's no bid.
142.1 is oath,
Mhm.
and that is one sentence also.
142.1, are you all good with 142.1? And I can fix it another
It's
time.
within 10 days.
The oath?
And that meets the criteria of within 2 weeks of the election. Yeah, that would be the 10 days.
you have to do it within 10 days, or can we do it?
Yes, no,
Like
you have to do
day
it the
7?
Tuesday after, isn't it the Tuesday
There's
after?
something
It's
the
in the law
Thursday
book
after
under
or
organizational
something?
meetings, you have to.
Mhm.
So we have to do it every election
It's
year
not-
right before Thanksgiving?
No,
Only
no,
when
if you
there's-
look at the dates this coming year, and Karen, the skipper, good question, because this year, the election, if I'm not mistaken, is on the 5th.
Yeah,
And so we have to do the swearing in, if I'm not mistaken, on the 19th. And it's the week before Thanksgiving for the first time in
Yeah,
forever.
it's always been that week of
this
Thanksgiving.
organizational
It's always
meeting is
been, but
messing up my
Thanksgiving is the
week.
following week. And it's
That's
within
very
2
sad.
weeks, so check the rule. But I counted it out.
Have somewhere I have to be.
Because then
I
that,
think 142.1 is okay.
Well, we'll have a quorum with me and Beth and Mary.
yeah, exactly.
Orientation.
142.3 is orientation.
142.3?
Now, there were some choices here. I don't know how you guys do it here in this district. Should reflect that.
Well, we have, they call us in, they do an orientation of type, and the superintendent takes you around
This
and,
is nice that it actually lists out the documents it gives, so
It's policy.
I appreciate that,
Yep,
right?
the
And
district, yep.
like what to actually give you.
And I like that it establishes a new board membership orientation program.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So
Mm-hmm.
I get-
So it would be the superintendent to provide the orientation.
Yes.
You can orient the clerk.
and Mr. Murphy, you do most of these things anyways.
Yeah. Well, and they're all
Not the
available.
committees.
Okay, now down below, it would be during the orientation program, each new member shall be invited to meet with superintendent, members of the superintendent's team or cabinet or
What do
something
you
else.
call it here?
What do you prefer?
Cabinet.
Cabinet, to discuss district functions, policies, and procedures option is budget,
I think that's important.
Yeah.
curriculum, committees.
Okay, let me catch up. So you
I
do
think- I
budget,
think all those. should
I
be-
think
Yeah, I think you
Shall be
should.
invited to meet
Like the whole
members of the
thing.
superintendent's
You want to talk
cabinet.
about committees in this thing or not?
Well, I mean, he could just tell them about
Yeah,
different
it could be.
Budget, curriculum.
public,
Review.
what would be public records, Tom?
Public records, the whole subject of public records, I think that needs to be talked about.
For sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
Public meetings too,
yeah,
publishing the board's meeting agenda,
Yes.
yeah.
yeah.
Could we also, some of this, I think, is our legal counsel considered part of your cabinet?
No.
So
But
I'd like
I
her-
would hand those parts off,
Okay.
I was
sunshine
gonna
law,
say that, yeah.
public records.
Well, right after cabinet, do you want to say and legal counsel?
I
Yeah,
think
Yes.
that's good, yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
All right, so I'm doing information technology, administrative structure,
Strategic plan,
plan,
yes.
board policies,
Mhm.
social media protocols, and
No, back up where it says cabinet, add and legal board attorney
Or legal counsel.
or legal counsel or something.
you all, so you guys decide.
And legal counsel.
Legal counsel?
The superintendent's cabinet and legal
And
Legal
counsel
counsel. would be
Legal
more than
with
one
everybody.
Okay.
Because if you're new, I think it's important for at least a 10-minute whirl on sunshine law.
And not only that, I think they need to sit and talk with our attorney, get to know
Yes.
them as well.
Okay, that one's done. And that's really great that you have that reorientation like that. Some districts, some boards don't do as well.
I didn't get an orientation.
There you go.
It's the teacher in me that likes to
Yeah,
set
we'll
clear
do it tomorrow.
expectations.
Well, we had a new superintendent at the time.
I got one.
It was one of those,
I tried.
good luck.
This would have been helpful. to have
I'm
the
like, do we
document.
have any?
Says-
Yeah, I just looked on the computer.
I got a massive.
The next one is 0143, election.
Yep.
This is like we were talking about. It's county divided into 5 residence areas,
Yes,
approximately equal in population. You're going to strike the first option of members are elected by that residence area.
correct.
And you're going to check the second option, members are elected countywide, and once elected shall represent the entire district.
All right, say it again, Jimmy.
Mr. Rossi, when do you
Delete the
think we'll need
first
to
option
look
there.
at the makeup of districts again? Because Green Cove is,
10 years.
Yeah.
we can only do it every 10
I
years.
believe
Yeah.
they only do it
Yeah.
after the census. That's why this next one, the residence areas,
Oh, you do that, yeah.
it's the census
just
and then
did
they
it.
did it, yeah.
So when
Well, that's why I
we
think
need
that's
to
so
add
huge.
another board member.
I don't think we do, I think we're only allowed 5.
Yeah.
It's based on total population.
It's based on a charter. I
Yeah,
was
the
just
charter.
Oh,
I was just asking Mr. Blocker about it. Our charter limits our county governing bodies to 5 members. So the BCC can only have 5, and we can only have 5.
So you still have to, well, we're at large.
I suppose we can't pick up Keystone and move it closer in though, right, for me, because it's like so long. We can't do that, can we?
Good luck.
Well, that's what we did
You have to try.
the last time we did it. So we redraw the boundary lines every 10 years.
Every time.
But what we did this
Yeah.
last time was we made them match the BCC boundary lines
Right.
to help with
Right.
constituents,
One is
so they don't get confused about who their board member, and we changed our board member numbers,
Two
our
numbers,
district
right.
numbers.
Oh,
so
yeah, that was
there's a
right when I
match.
was gonna run, you guys changed the
Yes.
numbers, right?
Right. Yeah, it was that year, it was 2 years ago.
Is this
I didn't even know I was in that
we
district.
came into alignment.
Are you coordinating that with the county and the same
Yes.
Yes,
Coordinated.
residence areas?
So the residence areas, the school board may make any changes it deems necessary, but we may not.
So we can just delete this one.
Delete that one, so yeah, this one's not a good one.
Because of the charter?
Yes.
Okay.
She said we may not.
We may not.
Next is 144 term. School board members shall be elected 4 years.
Oh, how did? we
That's
had-
right, 3 1 year and 2 the next.
Yeah, the first option,
Yes.
5 versus 3.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
144.
And shall be elected on one, and 2 members, yes, that's the first option.
Yep.
Take the first option.
Okay, here's that language. The term of office of board members shall begin on the second Tuesday following the general election.
There you go. That makes it the 19th and not in Thanksgiving. You can go on.
All right, we'll do that.
These are not
Gives you the
flying
8
home like
consecutive years limit, which is instead.
Stop my
They have 5
Boy,
years.
that, it's weird that it changed like that.
I like it.
The election is November 5th, right? Yes.
We go there.
So
Day,
that's, so 19, yeah.
So are they 144
So we were the 3 and then now
I like
we're
it
the 2.
where it's cold. Which
Rotates.
Austin is pretty, is it not?
Very well. They probably have like
We didn't know how that was spelled out.
The board member gives by the end of their current term.
No, I know it's super hot in the summer, but like,
Next bylaw is about vacancies on board.
out there. But I didn't know if
So-
Austin was part of that.
This does reflect the newest law with the 8 years, sorry, I was still on
Yes.
that. Mhm.
I didn't know if they still.
I'm good with the next one.
Yep. The next one's filling a board vacancy.
It says what the vacancy is, what, death or failure to maintain residence in that area or whatever. And governor makes the appointment to fill a vacancy.
So you're all good with this?
Yes.
Yep. That's the law.
Same with removal, I'm fine with that one.
Removal is the governor is empowered,
That's the law too.
that just follows the Constitution.
Okay, just give me a second.
Next one's Clay.
146.
Is done.
I won't do it now. I'll do it later. 146, you all say okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
147 is compensation.
Yep.
I'm good with that one.
Oh, okay, it just has to be the population of Clay County.
Yeah, Clay County.
Yeah, Keystone Heights is in this county?
Yes.
Because it's, I live in Gainesville and it's not far from Gainesville, it's that far.
It's closer to Gainesville.
Yeah.
That's my district.
We're fully aware.
They say if you want to
Very
come,
strange.
to come for a few minutes, it's 2
I don't know
hours.
why you complain, it's a gorgeous
Well,
drive.
it's a great drive if the road is open.
Yeah.
I always close it and repave it. They've done it like 10 times. Let me see if
Okay.
it's out here.
1471 is about travel expenses. There are some choices here. Members of the board, have duty to promote best interest of district, expect to engage in meaningful professional development. In-county travel on official business performed within, that'd be Clay County, by members of the board, either shall be reimbursed at the maximum rate allowed by the statute, with said mileage to be determined by actual odometer reading of travels performed by personal automobile.
It's the option now that we have.
It is the option now that we have, I don't like
One
it.
Bonnie just says.
But this is in-county travel. Do you get paid for in-county travel?
Yes.
Okay.
If you claim it.
In county.
Do you guys want to keep that, or do you, because Beth and I both think we should not be reimbursed for in-county travel, but majority rules.
Okay, and Bonnie just said for in-county travel, hold on, she's messaging me, she should be, Bonnie, you should be resting.
She's watching.
Bonnie says for in-county travel, we are reimbursed based on printed driving directions, not odometer reading.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Do you guys want to keep that as
Bonnie
an option
knows.
for board members? You do?
I've never taken it.
I have.
Out of county, I'm in agreement with, because driving to Tampa, driving to
I
Tallahassee,
can't be keeping up.
but, yeah.
So they do reimburse for
think
in-county.
we should
Yeah,
have.
we would
Doesn't mean that's
But
claimed.
what
No, you don't
what did
have
Bonnie say that the comment was, the mileage shall be determined by?
Based on printed driving directions, and so you would attach like a MapQuest or a Google Maps
By
and,
printed,
not odometer reading.
printed map directions?
Yeah, printed driving directions.
We're gonna get rid of printed driving directions.
Well, that's for out of county as well.
Yeah, the strike be the actual odometer reading.
And that's for, she said she uses the same for out of county, right?
Yes. Mhm.
So we might need to adjust that.
And we have in district, between school to school, we have established numbers in decimal form, the mileage.
Because I think Keystone moved a little bit further south, did you?
Yes, exactly.
I sometimes claim miles.
You get reimbursed a healthy amount going to Keystone.
Oh,
So then travel
I
costs,
never
the
asked
next
for it.
section.
I mean, it's part of our job, we get paid at least.
I have a new car, I wish I had one of those little white county cars from my house. My new car.
Well, it's.
Now, the travel costs paid or reimbursed from federal funds.
Yeah, there's some
Federal,
options
yeah.
here.
That, and they do, that's the mileage, right? Yeah.
So we're keeping the option to be reimbursed for in-county travel, is that what,
I would rather not,
you would
but
rather not keep it?
Yeah.
So that's 3 that say no. Ms. Hanson?
Well, just
you-
because you have it in the policy doesn't mean you have to claim it.
You don't have to claim
I
it.
don't like that it's an option.
I don't
Out
claim
of
it
count.
for
I have seen it
in-county.
used excessively.
Well,
That's too much for me to keep track of. I barely do the internet.
So
thing.
what's the process, Tom, when it looks like,
I would say, since we don't really have complete consensus about this, leave it like it is, and when it comes back in a board, initial first reading, you can amend it.
Change it then,
Yeah.
okay.
we can make it, okay.
Because just
We'll keep
to,
notes
just to throw
to
something
remind
out there, just because it says you can get it, you don't have to take it.
I realize that.
Okay.
But it's been abused in
It
the
has
past.
been.
Okay, all right, I'm
Just
just,
even bring.
Not by
Yes,
us.
But do we
Right.
have full consensus or not?
What's with the
I mean, I'm
personal
fine with taking it out.
I'm fine with, yeah.
Okay, so then we do have consensus to take it out.
Okay, good enough, that's it.
then let me take this out and do this.
There, we saved $1.
This shall not be reimbursed. Yep. See, this is a great time
Out
to
of
make
county,
changes
even.
that you want.
Put it out.
Part of the non-disposal.
Right now, we are going to
No, I mean, what did we just strike?
the in-county
in-county
travel.
In-county travel, you can't be reimbursed for in-county travel.
Just
No.
in-county.
So
Well,
like
I
if
get
you're going-
reimbursed sometimes, because I'm driving 43 miles to come here.
So you want to keep it then?
I mean, I do use it if I remember sometimes. I remember I put a heavy load on my brand new car.
Okay.
All right, well, then let's.
I don't do it all the time, but sometimes.
So we're going back to it?
We'll go back to it and I guess we'll, like you said, since we
We just
don't have.
won't move on to it.
Leave it in, and when we come to the final
Yeah,
approval of
decision
this,
can
we
be
can
made that time.
discuss it.
Sorry.
and we had out of
No, no.
county travel, we're in the
That's
state,
what
out
the
of state
value is.
travel. Now, under the federal funds part, there's a couple of options. One was about commercial airfare costs in excess of the basic. This is from the federal rules. You can imagine how complicated they are. The least expensive unrestricted accommodations class offered are unallowable except when such accommodations would require circuitous routing, require travel during unreasonable hours, excessively prolonged travel. This is an option for you to put in here, so if you're traveling to be reimbursed by a federal
We don't
grant.
get federal funds for anything, for us, for school districts, for school board members.
Not that I'm aware.
That is not
We
us.
just have fun.
Then no-
Teachers and other, and people may go out of state.
Like
This does
reading.
not cover them, however. That's a whole nother section. For school board members, this would not apply to us. We do not fly out of state.
Now, I will give you an example where federal dollars may have been used. I can't remember which board, one of our board members went to Washington, DC at some point. Or I want to say for an FSBA
Would it be
thing,
federal
or-
funds though?
That would have been for, but we would not have received federal funds for that.
Yeah.
We would have been reimbursed either through FSBA or through our own our own internal accounts.
So why do you guys have that in there? Is that something that
The
can
feds,
happen?
the feds let the agency, the recipient of the grant, have this as a restriction.
I
In other words,
grant.
If you have a federal grant, let's say for Title I or something like that, and we were using money from that particular account, that would then apply to this.
If you check this, otherwise it
What would
would.
I
a school
don't
board
think
member
we should.
use federal funds?
That's
What I'm
why
trying
I'm
to figure out
saying
now,
I would
right?
rather not even mess with
Unless
this.
you applied for a grant, we started
No.
using your grant, but.
Yeah, no,
Take it out?
take it out.
I don't
yeah.
think we need it.
I don't think we need
The
it.
second option says temporary dependent care costs.
No.
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 Sorry, Ms.
Maybe
Skipper.
Charlie?
I said, sorry, Ms. Skipper. Temporary dependent care costs.
No.
Okay, strike that too then.
Got it for all the old people in the room.
That's only, but that's all covered under federal.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
That whole section can be
So the
stricken.
participation in virtual trainings though and conferences,
Okay, they added this a couple years ago because A lot of people now are doing virtual conferences. And they have to pay to participate, they want to be reimbursed, and it didn't, that kind of fell between the,
I guess we
you
might,
don't travel out of the district to do it, probably here at
I mean,
home.
we might do virtual training.
The only virtual conferences that we would do would be with FSBA or the other,
I did my ethics training through FSU once, and I paid a fee to FSU for the ethics training. It was before FSBA offered it online
right.
for free.
But that, yeah, that would, yeah.
And it
Was
does
that
cost.
reimbursed?
I think you should keep
I
the
didn't ask for it to
option
be
in
reimbursed.
case you want to do
Yeah, I
virtual.
think so.
It's new, lots of districts are choosing
Yeah,
it.
check that
Yeah,
out.
say that again. Just-
Lots of districts are choosing this because so many things are virtual training.
Okay,
See, I went on
okay.
state, but I didn't get federal funds, so this doesn't include.
Because it's
No.
the same as FSBA, you still have to provide your agenda
That's-
and the
but
program
that's
and
separate,
verify
yeah,
that
separate.
that's of course
Yeah.
you attended.
So,
And Mr. Lasky was just mentioning that it would probably be wise to keep the participation in virtual training.
Right, because you might
Just in
choose
case.
to go to virtual training rather than a in-person.
never know.
Probably cheaper.
Yeah,
Like if FSBA let us watch it for a price, then that would be a cheaper option.
And that-
And it would be
Reimbursable.
option 2, expenses for participation that exceeds $500 requires prior approval of the board to confirm. That's what we have right now for trainings otherwise, like
Okay, well, then it should
attending
be-
conferences and things of that nature.
It
Okay.
has to exceed
So I would
500.
like to see that as an option.
option 2?
yeah, strike one.
If it's over $500, if it's $500 or more, if it's gonna cost that much. If not, then virtual training would be,
Is it $500 collectively or per board member?
during any
I
cost.
think it'd be per member.
Per member.
It's per member, I think, yeah,
Well,
And
FSBA
that's-
takes care of that price.
yeah.
Oh, that's for virtual?
No, that's just for the virtual training.
Yeah, it was just about virtual.
Okay.
yeah.
How could a virtual training cost that much?
Depends on what the training is.
I guess so.
Sometimes the registration fees are high,
Wow.
but you don't have travel, and you don't have parking, and you don't have meals, and
Maybe we don't need that then. Board members must seek prior approval from the board at a publicly noticed board meeting prior to
We
any
need-
costs.
We need something because
Maybe we should go to option 1 after all.
what's the financial limit on out of county or travel expenses? We don't have a dollar amount on that.
It's
Yeah,
$500.
So I'm fine with keeping it 500. That
But
way
if it's less
consistent.
than $500, then a board member doesn't have to get approval to do virtual training.
Correct.
So I want to do a virtual training that's going to cost $200 on adding Taekwondo to our physical education
and
curriculum.
you can do that.
Are option 1 and 2 all virtual training?
Yes.
But would that be an appropriate expense, is what I'm saying? I mean, would all of you go, oh, Mary, I'm so glad that you went to that training?
So do you want to
You would
say,
have to demonstrate what you've
There would be
learned
stipulations.
as part of the training. You gotta show
I also don't want to limit, like, what you think is important, what I think is important.
But
Because
they're
I
different.
actively see right now across the state of Florida where there are a 3-2 vote or 4-1 vote saying, okay, because you want to expand your knowledge over here, I'm not going to approve your registration fee or your membership fee or whatever. So I don't want it to limit, I mean, it would
That's
stink
where I'm coming
that she wants to go to Taekwondo for our curriculum, however.
I see
you wanna
that
go to
perspective,
Wisconsin.
however, I also look at the fact that we're operating out of a budget. And for every other item that we spend money on, we vote what's in the best interest of the district, not the
Right.
single board member or the single
You're talking
school.
about this.
Right.
It's gotta be in the best interest of the board
Yeah.
as a whole. Does that make sense?
Right, no, yes.
I'm
So
good with
I
whatever
think
you guys
having us
want.
vote on it is not a bad idea, but I think I would set like,
But that's
instead of
why
500, make it 100.
Yeah, the $500.
That's a lot.
during any.
That would- that would be-
I'm okay with
You
that.
can be reimbursed for less, but you don't have to get board approval.
Yeah.
That's just
500 is
it.
for board approval.
Yeah.
So do you want board approval up to 500, or we could just change that dollar amount?
Yeah.
Say in
And this
excess
is
of
just for the
$100?
virtual
Yeah.
training.
Because virtual training honestly
It
should be $500.
$500, yeah.
So do you want to set 200, 100, what do you guys think?
I think maybe,
Let's say 200.
200?
Let's just.
well, I see things maybe
Number.
being 225 if it was a 3-day conference.
So 250, let's go 250.
Cut it in half?
Do I hear
That's
that?
it. None of us have any idea.
Let's do it, 250.
I'm just curious, Mrs. Ball, do you really do martial arts, or is that? Because you are, we definitely.
We do need a
Which is why I'm
demonstration.
having a shoulder
There we go.
replacement. It's the, yeah, constant looking at it, yeah.
The first rule of Fight Club.
Going back to your thought,
Yes.
exactly, there you go. If, for instance, we're talking, this is just virtual training. This is not conferences, this is nothing else.
Right.
The bottom line is, if there's, I'm sort of throwing this out only because if, let's say, I want to do a virtual training that I believe is going to benefit me as a board member, if I'm required to bring it to the board and publicly notice it with the board, no matter what the cost, then maybe Ms. Clark or Ms. Skipper or Ms. Hanson or yourself would want to participate as well, which would then up that cost, but it could be very beneficial for all of us. And I'm looking at that
It's just
prior
virtual.
to incurring any cost, just to participate. I don't know what virtual trainings are going to.
Yeah, but you don't want the
enter
board
into.
having to put it on the agenda for a
It's
$50.
no, it's, well, but it's a simple consent agenda item.
Well, I think that could be an addendum where, or just part of, remember our FSBA rules that we established, not policy, but
No,
rules
the
as a board?
Protocols.
Right, we could just say there, if you are attending a professional development opportunity, please share that opportunity with your fellow
Yeah.
board members, rather than them having to.
share.
Or you will
Doesn't
share.
need to be a
Yeah,
policy.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm looking at the number. I mean, we're saying, oh, should it be 200, should it be
Yeah.
250, should it be whatever?
So why don't we just settle on the 250, Ms. Ball, because you can always
There you go.
rewrite the policy
Yeah.
later on.
250.
The 250 is a great number, but none of us know why. Good job.
Okay, now I would suggest, in the last paragraph, it says, if a financial condition, which is the emergency, does not exist, when approved in advance. So apparently that requires advance approval for any. I would just strike that when it says when
Yeah.
approved in advance.
Yeah.
Because then it allows you to get approval for over 250, but
Yeah.
Right,
be reimbursed if it's less than 250.
Yeah.
right.
Where is that?
Last paragraph, when approved in advance. Just strike that.
Riveting, and I was gonna be, especially the Taekwondo example.
When you need to see me do a flying kick. Is that Taekwondo?
I have to get my brain back from that.
Okay,
Okay, so is this right, if expenses, blah, 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 not expenses for, okay, got it.
Yeah.
okay, now let's go to the use of equipment and services.
Fax machine?
We don't have an office, usually.
Yeah.
In some districts, this is an issue. Make available to board members for their official use of following equipment: routine office supplies, computer, printer, fax machine, desk, chair, filing cabinet.
We do not have offices.
Yeah.
So a desk,
do get it.
chair, and filing cabinet are not.
Okay. Take off that,
Appropriate.
just say fax machine.
Fax
stop it.
machine is sort of, could we,
We get a phone.
we get a phone, and we do get, and we
And a
get
computer.
a computer, we get a phone, an electronic
Business cards
communication
were
device.
as well. I was
And
getting
Why
then we
don't
can
we
always
sell
ask
a
for it
computer
to be
before
printed.
computer?
We can always ask for things
And
to
we
be
can,
printed.
yeah, software compatible with
Telephone
district
right here.
systems,
Mhm.
That's on the
Yeah,
computer.
computer, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll put
which is on
telephone
the
there.
computer.
So could we change it just to computers, wireless
Computers, cell
communication
phone.
device, and business cards?
Yeah,
That's what we get right
that's
now.
pretty much
That's
Okay.
it.
routine office supplies, I think that
And if you
encompasses
needed
it.
paper, you could ask.
Strike the two options under A.
I think that encompasses
Business
under
cards and-
routine office supplies.
What about software
We're assuming
compatible
that
with district systems?
But if a board member came in and said, I really
Yeah.
need a state card.
We would need that.
You do get that?
But we're
We
given
can
a
find one, so it's
computer.
on there.
Okay.
So, yeah, what were you saying, Ms. Gilhousen? You had it, you said routine office
I
supplies,
think keep
computer.
routine office supplies because that could include any minor thing that you might need.
Everything.
So period and strike,
No, keep computer, like I'm fine with
computer
keeping
part.
the devices, computer, printer, We don't use fax machines, so I don't know if that's,
Well, and we don't provide a printer.
Or desk
At home.
chairs.
but we have access
We have,
to a
we
printer.
have access to printing.
Yeah, that's
Do you
what,
want to say access to office supplies, computers, printers, fax machines?
Yes.
it's authorized to make
How about
available to
access
school board members the
to
following.
routine office supplies?
Yeah.
It's
Computer,
for-
printer,
It's
and electronic
He said make
communication
available to
device.
school board members.
Yes.
For their use.
Yeah, for their
Yes.
use.
Because, and you need to select electronic communication devices, because some of us
Right.
get cell phones.
Yeah,
Okay.
get a
Correct,
cell phone.
correct.
Take out stipend,
Right,
leave business cards as stationery and software compatible.
that's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yes.
Right, but the first sentence, the superintendent authorized to make available to school board members, blah, blah, blah,
If
blah.
I needed
That's
pens,
You know,
okay.
I'm sure.
and I'm taking out fax machine,
Yes.
That whole lot,
And
yeah.
desk and chair and filing cabinet.
okay, period.
You have to stand up to use your printer.
Right.
good for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've always had a good desk and chair wherever I've gone here, so.
Now, the next one is access to records, 0149. Basically says no member shall be denied documents or information that are required in the performance of your duty.
And that comes from state statute, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm good with all that.
Oh, yep. That's the law.
okay. And then, now here we have two versions of public expression of members on 149.1.
Yeah, this one's. So,
So we'll show you the both of them.
That's something you might want to
so one of these versions says that the chair should talk to newspapers instead, like as our representative, so what do you feel about?
General practice, general best practice, in my opinion, is to allow our communications person in the district office to handle it. But that is a power that is given to the board. It's just not one that I think,
Well, yeah, I've never answered a phone for anybody, however, we want to make sure if board members want to talk, they can.
well, that's the next line.
Right.
From time to time, however,
Yeah.
individual board members may make public statements on school matters to local media and/or to local or state officials.
So, Mr. Brodsky, what if we wanted to make a public statement?
You
Let's say
can,
I wanted to make a public statement.
you can.
You can.
Can
As
you
an
go through the
individual.
district to create that public statement, or how does?
You would say it at a board meeting, I would think would be the best place for it. I want to go on public record as saying whatever you'd like to say.
And in our protocols, we do say the public information officer will serve as a spokesperson for the district with the media. So if you, and community meetings should be organized by staff and properly noticed.
Ooh, I have it.
Board members will serve as ambassadors for
You
the
have it?
school district, emphasizing the positive aspects of the district.
What if we say, at that first line, the school board chairman, in conjunction with the public information officer for the district, shall function as the official spokesperson for the board?
Correct.
Does that sound good to you guys?
Yes.
Mhm.
That way it's a collaboration between the two?
And you can tell her to take this one.
Right,
And then we
exactly.
still have the option.
But then I'm not taking the authority away from future chair if they prefer to handle it all
And if board
themselves.
members want to speak on their own behalf somewhere, that's, they still have that. so.
And there's
still
two
have to
versions.
I
regardless.
have that option no matter what.
If you read the next line, Ms. Hanson,
Yeah.
it gives you
I,
authority.
no, I was only on that line for a second.
Yeah, read the next line and you'll see you have the authority for it.
Have you looked at version 2 or are you good with version 1?
I don't see a version 2 on that one.
Version
The
2.
next page.
Go to the next page.
It's,
My opinion.
it says, they make clear as their views, not necessarily the views of the board, and the bylaw does, applies to all statements in writing by individuals not explicitly sanctioned by the majority of members except, and it lists some things that any board member can write or say.
What I'm obligated to say at this point is, if you would want the public, your public address person, you do not direct staff, the superintendent directs staff.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that you wouldn't go directly, you would go through the superintendent because he directs
Okay,
the
so I
staff.
should say the superintendent in conjunction with the board chair?
I found, because of that.
I think it's what I said, the chairman in conjunction with the superintendent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like version 2 better, I think.
I do
Because
as
it's
well.
a little bit more specific about if a single board member wants to make a statement, then they need to be clear that it's their own personal
View.
view.
I like version 2.
So I'm gonna edit version 2,
Yes.
okay?
You're editing it, just the top part.
I like the specifics of version 2,
Okay,
like Ms. Gill has.
and I'm gonna, and the school board chairman,
In
in
conjunction,
conjunction with the superintendent.
Mhm.
Are we really gonna send copies to the media?
Conjunction, how much?
Are you looking at 1 or 2?
Two on
Can
B.
you
What number?
Can I ask you a
D.
question? Is it possible to make it like the chair, not chairman, or?
yes.
Are we chairperson?
I honestly don't think
Yeah,
that's a bad
chairperson.
practice, just so
Chairperson,
they know
chair.
who to
Let's just say the
contact
chair.
if they're
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
for
the chair.
comment. Because I've seen the
That's good.
media
One
come
is
up,
actually-
yeah,
that
I've
what
seen the
we
media
have?
come up to
We don't have
individual
a chair
board members
manager.
after board
Right,
meetings
right.
wanting you
Good
guys to
catch.
comment, and I
They
think
don't
that's
come to me
inappropriate.
anymore.
They
Let's
should
just
direct
ask them
their.
guys.
I'm not
But they
nice.
have the option too.
Madam Chair,
However, this is correct.
making changes just to chair, so it's, Brandon was chairman.
Yeah, we'll say chair.
That's whatever, I'm not
Okay.
thinking about that. Either way is fine with me, do you guys have a preference between chair and chairman? I'm fine with
I mean, it's all
chairman.
female board, but.
It is an all-female board.
The generic version of
We're all
chair or?
sons of God.
That's true, that is true.
We're talking about changing it here? Good, okay. Chairman is to me a generic term.
Man means as in humanity, so,
Okay, chair,
Yeah.
just leave it.
Oh, you want me to leave chairman then?
Yeah.
Whatever they want.
although I'm
I
gonna
just
say
don't-
Madam Chair, not Madam Chairman.
I don't know what, I'm just gonna.
Madam
fix it.
Chairman, Madam Chairman, through the chair, through the chair, through the chair.
Okay, let's go
I'm not a
to,
feminist, I'm gonna go on the record saying that.
I just told him.
the next one's
I
back,
am.
I don't really care how they do this.
the next bylaw is about board member participation of district committees. These are the, I think this means, committees that are formed by the board or the superintendent.
And we won't stifle anybody.
So it states we're only allowed to be an observer.
Right.
You can't give our opinion every now and then.
I would like to, something else I learned at my advanced finance forum was many districts, when they advertise these committees, advertise that more than one board member may be at the committee, and they do that in case maybe I wanted to go with Beth and listen about insurance. They do that to make sure that we advertise. More than one may attend the committee. I think it's a very smart thing, because if I were to open my mouth, we don't break sunshine as long as we advertise it.
Right.
So what, is that in a different section, or would that be here?
That would just be in the normal public meetings.
Just add it to a public
Anytime-
meeting?
The kind of committee you're talking about, if they're advertising at all, it's probably a public meeting to start with. But they can put that in there. But actually, if it's even not a public meeting, if it's like a staff
Insurance
meeting,
isn't a
and
public.
two board members are
That's what I
kind
was
of
just
meetings, you
gonna,
have to
that's
advertise.
what I was just
So-
thinking.
They said it protects them if they write
They
two board members, and then if we
advertise
two show up,
the
we're no
meeting.
longer
In
violating
case
sunshine.
there's two-way commitment, two-part
I think it's a
communication.
But they don't advertise it as a school board meeting, they advertise it as a district committee meeting.
Right.
I don't even know when
You
they
just need
are.
to note that two.
These are for
aware.
big meetings.
Yeah.
If the district couldn't do their business, if you tried to do this with every staff meeting.
And this doesn't prevent you, Ms. Skipper, from making comment, it says it in there.
No, I just,
You can participate in discussions as a
As
member of the
members.
and I could go with her as long as we advertise
Yeah,
who
but
might be
it
there.
says their attendance shall be in an observer
That just
status.
means you don't get to make the decision.
Right, you can't vote.
Right.
You can't stifle them, you can't tell them to stop talking.
Well, at the end of the day.
Right.
it's gonna be
No stifling.
Right.
Okay.
And so, Mr. Brodsky, when we have big
Yeah,
committee
that makes
meetings,
sense.
if I wanted to maybe go to one, we can just say from now on, maybe more than one board member for sunshine purposes?
It's always been,
Yeah.
I don't think we advertise more than one board member,
Yeah.
but if we want to, I've always been worried about it.
advertise these meetings.
well, the bottom line is,
Like that.
the sunshine law
Well, this is
is,
what a lawyer told me, so I'm just
right,
wondering.
well, and you can attend meetings, I frankly, if, let's say both of us were at a meeting, let's say the three of us went to, well, no, two, three, doesn't matter. and we wanted to all go to the insurance meeting just to hear what was going on. It's sort of like the public coming to our workshop. You want to hear what's going on, but you're going to be performing as a public member, not as a school board member.
But if there's
So
more than two of
you're-
us, it's sunshine.
No, because all you need to do, if you're performing as a community member at a workshop, you're only allowed to ask questions. And if you treat it the same way, you're only asking questions for
But if I'm asking
clarification.
questions and getting answers and Ms. Skipper's there,
She's hearing the same answers.
Well,
So
you-
they-
you-
If we're at math team
Yeah.
together and I ask a student, what do you think about the phone policy? I'm not discussing it with Ms. Clark. I'm
why would they
asking a
say to
student
add it?
for an opinion that she's sharing and Ms. Clark may hear it and I may hear it. We're not discussing it. We're not,
But
we're
you're hearing her
hearing
opinion.
response.
Sure.
And
Well,
we're not voting on anything or discussing how we're going to vote on something.
Right, well, this is one attorney's opinion, we have other lawyers in the room, but I think what you have to keep in mind is it a matter that might reasonably come before y'all for a vote? That's really the
Yes.
trigger.
Yep.
That's what you have to be aware of. As an example, there's a case where a board member went on a Facebook page and said, I want more funding for like a fire department. Another board member commented as well. So that was a matter that reasonably was gonna come in front of that board in that particular context, that city. So if y'all are going to some, football game together, y'all certainly can talk, y'all can talk about anything under the sun. It has to be something reasonably coming in front of. The other trigger is two-way communication. So, we've talked about this. The law allows y'all, one of y'all can send an email to all of y'all. That's ill-advisable, and I encourage you not to do that. I've asked y'all not to do that because someone could respond to that email, then it becomes a two-way communication. But that's really, depending on what the workshop is, if it's just general finance law, when y'all go to these different educational, meetings, y'all probably could sit there and talk, but if it's a matter that's gonna come in front of the board reasonably, then you have to perceive that.
so I think that's why they did it, is just in case, right? So like,
Right.
if they're talking about insurance, we know we vote on insurance, right? So if two people went
Exactly.
there,
Right.
for safety reason, it doesn't hurt anybody to
To
say,
advertise it.
two board members may be
Yeah, for-
present.
Right.
Yeah, so for publicly noticed meetings. we do
Yes.
that. Yeah.
So, Mr.
Yeah.
Brodsky, would it be a procedural problem to advertise the district committee meetings, just so that if the
No,
board
we
members want to come,
could do that for the ones that are rise to that level.
Mhm.
We can certainly do that and put a little caption at the bottom of
Board
it.
members may be present.
Be- Because we do advertise the
With that-
strategic, the media committee, right? So the statutory compliance team, we do advertise for that, and maybe one or two board members show up or something like that, and we do talk about that, and it will come forward to us at some point on the agenda. So that's the kind of thing I was talking about, like official committee meeting.
Yeah, like an official noticed
Yeah,
meeting of that nature, we could certainly put a line on there.
okay.
So you're good with this policy?
Yes.
Yes.
Next is board staff communications, 0149.3. And what this is, now, I'll tell you that there's a policy that mirrors this in each of the human resources sections. So whatever, they will be made to conform to whatever you guys say today about this.
So this whole thing will come back up again?
You'll see it again in each of those chapters, yeah, in workshops. But we'll try to make them conform to what this says, if you're okay with it.
So what-
It says preferred line of official communication should be through the superintendent.
This is how we operate now.
It is.
Right.
And the staff member chooses to communicate directly with the board, they should copy all of us, which is the policy that we work on right now.
So in
Or the
our,
procedure, whichever you want to look
Protocol.
at.
in our protocols we came up with though.
Protocol.
So for instance, if I know the person to send it to, right?
We would send it to them.
I don't necessarily have to send it to you to send to them.
We would send it to both of us,
Yeah, I usually copy. Yeah.
which like the last one is a good example of that.
Mhm.
If a staff member chooses to communicate directly with the board regarding district business, then the communication should be sent to all members of the board.
Right.
I don't recall getting much of that,
They won't.
ever.
They're not that
They'll do
many.
it as directed.
I mean, there's very, yeah.
So an example of this would be, so we're going through the sheriff's contract, if the superintendent was tied up in a meeting and asked Dr. Legecko to send y'all the financial documents for your review, it would need to go to all of y'all, not just one individual board member. If one of y'all requests that way, there's equal, because y'all's powers derive for operating as a
Right.
board. So it would need to be evenly distributed and
So if
communicated.
one of us asks questions through the superintendent or two people in an email about something and we're getting answers, that should go to all members of the board?
Yes,
Okay.
and I think this policy says that.
Yeah,
Yes.
It doesn't.
I'm comfortable with that.
I was just clarifying for me, because I've not like really seen that as much.
In the last paragraph, it does talk about social interactions and how people shouldn't be bringing complaints and grievances, individual matters to you in social situations.
Can this be part of the public?
So we're good with this one?
I've gotten hit at 2 different dinners recently, and it's just like, just leave me alone.
Yeah, I'm okay.
I don't, this might be, is there a form that you all ask principals to fill out to invite us to things? Okay.
Yeah.
Because every once in a while, it'll be and this is a perfect situation where sometimes the policy isn't necessarily going to necessarily drive an interaction. I run into a principal and they say, hey, we're doing such and such, and I'll say, and they'll say, we want to stop by.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
invariably, there are a couple of principals, do I need to put that on the form? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't think so, and I'm assuming that's okay, I mean, okay. And if there were.
Yeah, we try to generate a list. Kelly does a great job of communicating with the principals and saying, hey, if you got something, let us know, and then we try to give you that sheet.
Because Ms. Bola does get a lot more invitations, and I don't know how you do it, I'm not saying it's a bad thing,
No,
but they are not on that worksheet, so.
The fine arts calendar, I
Right.
added the QR code, now Chris Googling
I
it.
don't know how she knows about all that stuff.
So if you go to the fine arts
You might as well.
calendar, every school, puts their plays and all of that
Oh,
on
really?
that.
I didn't know
So
about
I
this.
don't put, so if you notice, you'll see like a little QR code on your,
Yeah.
on that little paper
And then it's
calendar.
like-
So I kind of do it like
Calendar,
this
yeah.
to where you can scan it and it pops up, so there's a link for it.
These things are good to know.
I have a,
I just thought I wasn't invited to any more
computer
plays.
just to
Yeah,
that.
no, so there's they keep a whole separate calendar, and there's just no way to translate all of that from there. Plus, if you go to it, if they make a change.
So they
then
add
it's
stuff to
updated.
that calendar, and so we can see if we want to attend something?
Would it be helpful if I took a link to that calendar and emailed it to you
Sure.
all, so you can
Yes.
take it and
Yes.
bookmark it on your?
Can you add the calendar to my Google Calendar?
I could probably,
That sounds.
if you have your laptop today, before you
I'm pretty
leave,
sure
I'll
we
see
can
if
add calendars.
Yeah, I think I can do that,
But
and.
always remember not to, I don't just go. I always
No, I want
request
recognition, I
an
usually tell them.
invitation. I don't want recognition. I want them to be aware that I'm going, only because if they, and there are times when I don't tell them, because I'm sitting in the back, it's just a concert or whatever. Just be aware that more communication. One of the reasons that I think that calendar was started, or that form was started as well, and this didn't necessarily apply to this school board, but to other school boards and other counties. When you see some of the, there's a law that says school board members can go to any school. But there was also a time when school board members did go to other schools and demanded, you know, I'm a school board member, so therefore you need to do this, and
the
it's
law
like,
says you have to
no,
show
no,
the
no, 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 that's not the intent. And we wanted to make certain that we kept it controlled as well.
So Ms. Ball, if I would say that even when I go to an event, like it'll be on my calendar for many days, before I go, I actually call that person. I've had it where the date's been changed,
Yep,
or canceled, or something, and
That
I've
has
actually
happened
showed
many
up to places
times,
where it's
yes.
been canceled. So
I
I
just
learned my
remember
lesson,
when I
which
get
is, you know, it's been on my calendar for a long period of time, I always give a call and say, hey, is that still on, are we still going?
My experience is people are always really super proud when somebody from the district shows up for them, so.
Absolutely.
They love it.
That's the idea.
They love it. Okay, that's no problem, but thanks for sharing the finance the arts calendar with me.
I will share that on email so everyone has it, and then the way to how to add it to your own. And then the things if you want before you leave today, I can make sure that I'll show you how to add that.
Okay, didn't our arts director, our new, I think that's when the calendar really
Yes,
came.
that's, yes.
Well, the calendar that y'all have had, we've had that since before him, but now with him, he
He's really
keeps,
designed
I don't know, you probably can't see this super well, but this is like all of them. So this was just in May, so it's hard to put all of them on that paper form, and again, sometimes things can change. So
I asked you about this, and we can get back on topic, I apologize, but when I was a teacher, I had like SBC meetings, I would have district meetings, like everything I was attending was in different colors on one calendar.
Mm-hmm.
That's helpful.
Yep,
So,
very much so.
Okay, next one is an organizational meeting, which you have to have every November.
So I like option 2 on that one.
Okay, option 1 is just to designate the regular meetings at the date, time, and place. Option 2 has all these different options you can,
So I would say B, we do designate a day, place, and time for regular meetings, which shall be held at least once every 2 months, which
obviously
for
you
us
have
is
to
every
do
month.
that.
A designated day, place, and time for regular,
yeah, we did that.
And
At
then
least.
D,
Once every 2 months? I thought it
no,
was once a
it's
month.
once a month, that's the law,
Change that.
yeah,
yeah.
It's got to be held at least once a month. I thought we had
once
changed that.
every month.
Well, the organizational meeting.
And then we do D, designate a day for regular informal work sessions. So we
Yes.
always designate the projected times for our agenda workshop. E, adopt, I like this, adopt existing bylaws and policies for its own operation and the operation of the school system. So that way your new board members are looking at the bylaws and voting on them at that first meeting.
Right.
Would this be a full adoption process where it's been advertised for 28 days? Or would it just be a
I like the readopt, you have the readopt language on F. I don't know if we could do,
readopt by continuing con? I don't
This is
know what
all at the
readopt
organizational
is.
meeting?
say
This
what?
is for at the
So
organizational
this is
meeting
at
once
the
a year?
organization
At the
meeting.
organizational meeting. We've never done that, but I
No.
like the fact that it's, the new board members are putting their stamp of approval or just the recognition that they
How
have
about
read.
reaffirm?
What about reaffirm?
Reaffirm.
Yeah,
Because she's saying they might,
because if we.
there are
if we
bylaws and
adopt,
policies, but
we
when they
have to
come in, it's
advertise.
theirs too.
Yeah.
Okay, so reaffirm.
Reaffirm, I like that.
And then I liked I, adopt a calendar which shall exist only for the administrative convenience of the board and shall not serve either to validate or void any board action.
Adopt a calendar,
So
which
when
shall
is-
exist
What am
What
I
is-
telling
what do
you? Readopt.
Do
So,
we do
to
that?
me, that falls in line
2 Fs and a
with
firm.
where we're designating the days, times, and places
Oh,
for our
so
meetings,
beyond
we would have a
calendar.
calendar.
2 Fs and a firm.
So you're doing F2, is that what you said?
I didn't say F.
Oh, okay, I made that
What
up.
about H? Do we tell them, what does that mean when it says
No.
join a membership? Because
So
we
we
do
all
it
have
as too, right?
different,
We
we've all.
do it as a school
We
board
just do
here
it,
generally.
okay.
Yeah.
The option's there, you don't, we
That's
don't
all,
require people.
F is
to-
done in the springtime.
So I strike F?
We don't need F.
Yes,
We
strike
need
F,
E. We do want E.
no,
Yeah.
oh, I
just
see,
change the
yes,
language
I see
to
what you're
reaffirm.
doing, yes, correct.
And we want I.
Strike G and strike H.
You shouldn't need G and H. C is a determined fee for people who want,
We already have that established. I don't think that's something that the,
if it doesn't change every year.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got that. Okay, good.
Do
And then-
we need A?
J?
we don't need A.
No, mm-mm.
No.
Yeah, we don't do that.
We only have one usually.
Uh-uh.
D, D, E, and I.
Shall exist only.
Yeah.
for
I and strike J.
And we don't need J
No,
either.
that's not even, I don't think that's appropriate.
Oh, yeah, and
Okay,
I,
then we come down to
we
appointments,
don't need J.
and
So the way we've done this in the past is by board consensus, even though in our policy it says that the chair appoints. So I like if we could change the language so it would match the way that we proceed. The board will reach a consensus in the selection of members as may be necessary to the various organizations, committees, and/or councils as may be required by law, board policy, or as directed by the board.
The third one.
But
But,
also, you still appoint us, right?
but
Technically I do, but I think the way that we operate is really more.
we operate by consensus, but I'll just throw it, what if two of us wanted to be on the same thing? The board chair has to make
Has to make
that
the
decision.
That's a good
Can you do
point.
two of these options, like do,
Or just
Yeah.
combine it with the,
like the
how
first
about the
one?
chair shall appoint members as the board reaches a consensus? Or something, a combination, whatever.
You could-
Well, the last option says the board members shall discuss the need or necessity for board members to participate in various organizations, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, you could add the chair shall appoint members as may be
Yeah, like
necessary.
that, combine
Yeah.
two together,
Yeah,
kind
that
of.
way.
So if we keep that last option
Yep.
and then just at the end say the chair shall appoint members as necessary.
So does that have to be done, like we've never focused on doing that at the organizational meeting?
Yeah.
I thought we did.
We do it through.
We did it one
email.
time, but not the first time I was in one.
We tried to, we
I
tried
remember doing it
to,
with John McKinnon.
The last
right,
time
we
we did.
tried to, well, we haven't done it at the organization meeting because we don't know who the chair is at that
You're right,
point.
you're right.
We select the chair at the organization meeting.
So should we
Let's try
strike
to
that?
after that.
So this is actually at the next meeting, the school board meeting
Right, so it's not,
is when it would be happening.
Okay, so strike that.
So strike
You want to
it.
strike all about appointments?
Yeah,
Take that all out.
Yeah.
You want to do like the next meeting or?
And then we do,
You don't want to add appointments to the next meeting?
well, that wouldn't fall under organizational.
Yeah, it would be
meeting.
at the
It wouldn't be
regular
in this
That would be,
section.
it's automatically at the next meeting.
Workshop.
Once the chair is determined,
But we don't want to leave this verbiage to put somewhere else?
We
Or
can.
Or put appointments and then put like a disclaimer at next, following organizational meeting?
It wouldn't make sense to put it under
Organizational
organizational
I would
meeting.
leave it out.
right?
We have some bylaws coming up about committees.
We don't want to gum up the organizational meeting as.
There, he said there's bylaws coming
Yeah.
up for the meetings.
And I think that would apply also
Policies for
for
meetings.
value adjustment board. We don't do that at the organization.
We do that in
So
June.
which one of you picked for appointments?
Strike all of them, we said, didn't we?
Would, say what?
Appointments cross off.
Yeah.
We're not doing,
This is not
we don't do
part of the-
appointments at the organizational meeting. And we do not do value adjustment board at the organizational meeting.
Got
I
it.
mean, that's it's easy.
There you go. Moving on.
You know, if you did have the value adjustment board at that one meeting, it assures we do it on time every year, and it's not a last minute thing, but
Next,
It's
we get to
required.
officers.
all right.
I'm good with this.
Officers are elected by majority vote,
Yep.
so 152.
Yes, this is good. All of it.
So, because we're about to have this issue, the school board shall fill the vacancy for the unexpired term of the ensuing regular or special meeting. Is that a long-term vacancy, or could that,
I think that's long-term.
that's long-term? Okay,
Yeah, vacant,
Yes.
not absent.
Yeah, this is not.
not the same thing.
So this is good as is?
Good
Yes.
as is, yes.
Well, here we go.
Committees, here we go, this is where we need to put that language.
Mhm.
And there's two versions of this policy also.
I like the first one. Or two versions.
Oh,
I thought you meant
option
options, sorry.
The second version is longer.
Should
Okay.
have one specific.
I see.
Yeah. I don't know if you need all that.
no, I think the first.
I think the first
Chair
is
is
fine.
never
First
over
one.
arm to take a job.
So do you want to add that language here?
I think we should, because I think
About
we
how
still need to
committees
have the language. So what was on the last
Is that
one,
what-
the appointment language should be added to the committees.
So you could put, appointments will be made at a regular board.
Are you guys looking at option 1 or option 2 of the, of this committee?
One.
Option 1, but
Yes.
with the added language
first.
of,
From the organizational restructure.
yes,
Were you liking on the first sentence or the second sentence?
second sentence. And I think it should say appointments to be made at a regular meeting shall be addressed as follows.
Okay, appointments to be made.
Or Ashley? Or Ms. Gilhausen, you don't want to choose the first one just in case we want to add some that arrive?
I did say the first one. Which
Yeah.
one are you?
Oh,
Oh,
No,
she's putting
she
it on
crossed
the
off
second,
the second.
sorry.
Yeah.
okay, that's,
She wants it
We
under
like
the first one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
that's okay,
Sorry, I wasn't clear about
that's
that.
okay.
And so after that,
And then how about doing
The
a
appointments, tell me
paragraph?
what to,
so after that, we would say appointments to be made at a regular board meeting shall be addressed as follows.
at a regular meeting,
Uh-huh.
Should we designate first board meeting after?
appointments to
No,
be
because
made at
sometimes it goes.
at a regular
Option
meeting.
two.
shall-
Option two, which is
Sometimes
that's
they're
what the
different.
different committees
Will be
do.
addressed as follows.
It depends. It depends on.
You know, option 2 gives you that verbiage where it says the chairman shall appoint, and then you would just put the following meeting or whatever.
But you can just copy and paste it from the appointment and it's done in option 1.
And then we said the board members shall discuss the need or necessity.
Look at, if you go back to
Yeah, under
appointments,
organizational meeting, no one for the board.
I agree with
I don't know
it. You
if
guys
she
agree with
can-
it?
Okay,
it's that board view.
I'm good. You can-
I'm not sure what you're wanting me to do.
Okay, I'm gonna dictate it. The board members shall discuss the need or necessity,
Okay, and where do you want that?
just in following.
In following,
No, right where you are, just the next sentence would be,
okay?
And it's this section from appointments, if you want to cut and paste. I don't know if you.
Okay, I can.
That way it would be, oops,
Let me just,
and we added language to that too.
right,
this
we'll add
sentence.
that at the end, yeah.
okay, the board members shall discuss, I'm not sure what you're telling me.
So, okay, this is the idea. This is the school board may establish committees and subcommittees as a need arises.
Okay.
Appointments to be made at a regular meeting will be addressed as follows.
And then you
And then
can
it's this.
put a
The board
colon.
members shall discuss the need of or necessity for board members to participate.
And I need to say, okay, just give me a couple minutes.
Mm-hmm. Does that look right?
Rather than doing all at once at the organizational meeting.
Correct, yeah. We have some committees that, for example, the term ends in June, so we would need to reappoint someone in June
Right.
to that committee.
Actually, two things, the FSBA one as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
And this would also
that's
be
by
where we would, do we need to add this
charter.
additional language for value adjustment board? Because they had that one here.
It's, I think it would be followed under any of the participate in various organizations, committees, and/or councils. I think that covers everything that we do.
There is a nuance with that one, that you have to also appoint a citizen member.
You also have to, I'm sorry?
Appoint a citizen
Yeah.
member.
Oh, good point, yeah.
Yeah. so
Yeah, we should
say that.
probably add that.
Add that
then,
language
yeah.
there.
Okay, the board shall appoint members, shall appoint,
A citizen member.
Does it say there?
It's up here, in this language.
The chair shall appoint members as necessary.
Keep it simple, that's good.
okay,
Sometimes we make a new committee and you,
And
then
then,
they wanna put
and that's
this.
what that was, okay.
That's all
And
right.
then the value adjustment board.
I'll do this later. I'm wasting
And
your
that's
time.
in June.
We can do all this editing later.
I'll
That's-
put it on, I don't want to waste your time.
Okay.
Thank you, I'm gonna keep that, okay?
Then we'll take that one, there you go, okay.
oh, that was harder than I thought that one would be.
And I'll put it right up here, this.
We're gonna delete version 2.
Do we
I'll
need
put
this
this
to read
too.
Next one is legal counsel. It just says the board may employ or retain legal counsel or other services as are needed by the board or superintendent for school matters.
And that's pretty much it.
Did we skip
number is it?
Committees,
0156.
What?
I think we.
I thought did we skip the whole committee thing? Because I think
There
we
was two
can.
options.
You changed
Whichever was the
option
first
one, that was
Oh,
option
I
two.
see.
That was option 2.
Option
yeah.
2 gives very specific things about
Yeah,
how you're gonna have
that's
them,
good.
how to
Okay.
replace them, and
No,
I was
flexibility.
confused by
time to
that.
overkill.
Parliamentary authority. School board attorney is the parliamentary authoritarian.
Yeah, the school board attorney.
0161.
Yeah,
Good?
good.
Now we have to make some choices.
No, there's only one sentence.
161.
Oh, but 156 is.
Yeah, that's good.
And
Are
we
you
don't,
saying will instead of shall, or shall?
Instead of may, shall.
Shall.
where do you say?
It says shall.
I was back on 155, I think.
Oh, never mind.
156, sorry.
Never mind. What is it? Instead of calling it Robert's rules, what did FSBA always call it? Bobby's rules or something? Bob's rules? Because we don't
0161.
follow it to the T.
Nobody does anymore.
Thank God. Would lengthen our
Do
meeting.
we need a login to go now to look at
School board
what
attorney.
we're working on? She said
Check
we could
that.
use it to see other counties as well.
You just go to the county and look up their policies.
But
And
is
do you want to designate Robert's Rules of Order as a
Yeah,
parliamentary
Public can't
authority?
see it till next spring.
Yeah,
Well, because we're doing,
we
I'm
don't
sorry,
use
say that
it,
again.
we don't use it strictly, so I hesitate to put that in there. What do you think, Mr. Blocker?
Well, I think generally most boards, I think we use it as a guide, but not a strict adherence, because there might be a unique matter that comes up, but usually I think it's viewed more as a guide, in my experience.
You probably don't need that then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would slow down board actions like crazy.
There's definitely some formality to it, maybe.
Right.
Well, that one's easy.
And the next one is quorum.
It's
It says-
5. We don't need the 4.
Is the first option.
162.
The next
So
one
the
is
next
your,
one with
yeah.
presiding officer, I had a question on this. Would it be possible to designate, because we have, Ms. Bowl and I both have a planned absence for the next board meeting. So would it be possible for us to designate a chair
3.
at this meeting
right.
for that meeting? So that, because the 3 options here have never been a chair before, and I'd like them to have an opportunity to ask questions or get whatever you need ahead of time, rather than not knowing if, showing up to the meeting, not knowing if you're gonna be asked to do the job.
Well, I think you're right about
You
that.
want to say that the chairman may designate a temporary chairperson to act in,
So I'm just pulling the board rules real quick, because I think in y'all's rules of conduct it has procedure, but we can,
I don't,
sorry, 2 seconds.
I've never seen.
I guess my question was, can we do it in advance rather than waiting until the board meeting where there's a vacancy?
I thought we were gonna.
I mean, I like the idea as
I
soon as
thought
we ran new at
I
it,
thought that
I'd
was
like to
the
do.
plan,
yeah.
but that's what,
But you would have to vote. in
So
advance.
I had to pull it up here, but the way the current rules, your board rules read is that if there's an absence, I can find it here, that at that time, find it here. Let me see. But basically.
a
what we-
chair pro tem.
Right, a chair
Right.
pro temp,
Me too.
so it would be decided at that time, there'd be a motion and a second,
It
so.
has to be at that meeting.
Well, no,
It
this
says
is your
at-
board rules, so your policies trump board rules.
Okay.
So, but it says at a board meeting.
At a board meeting,
So
but,
we could do the vote, I'm assuming.
well, y'all can, but y'all also can change your policy
Yeah,
here.
because it's not good until September. We don't start this for a long time.
Right, so y'all could change your policy, then the board rules would need to be changed to reflect your policy. So the policy is controlling, not the board rules.
Yeah,
But,
okay, so the chair.
So
If she's asking, can you do it today?
can we do it at this coming board meeting? To designate a chair for the 27th?
Uh, So it's the way I interpret the rules is at the board meeting where there's an absence is where there would be a vote. So there would not be a pre-designation. And I think it makes sense, and there are boards that do that where they will designate in advance. But I think we want to have it in policy, and then that would trigger a change in the board rules.
So we need to change the policy.
Mr.
We
Blocker,
change the
it
policy
says,
now.
in the absence of the chair and
Advertised.
vice chair.
No, but follow what we have now, but change it for
Yes,
the spring.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what page it is? I was trying to find it.
It's organization officers 1.02 C2.
C2, yes ma'am.
It says, in the absence of the chair and vice chair, a chair pro tem shall be elected by a majority of the board members present at a board meeting for the purpose of presiding over such meeting.
There you go.
Now, when it says over such meeting, it's referring to the meeting where both will be absent. But
this
it doesn't
just
say it should be voted on at that meeting, from my perspective.
Well, you're absolutely correct. So that would be the plain reading. My interpretation of that would be, like, right now, there's no one absent. Y'all are all present. We're
But this isn't a
anticipating,
meeting per se.
right, it's not until workshop, but we're anticipating a future meeting. So I think it'd be interpreted either way.
So it would be okay to vote on Thursday, like in 2 days, to determine who the chair will be for the June 20 whatever meeting.
Right.
So that that person can prepare accordingly.
For sure. That is completely legally sufficient. And I don't want to spend too much time, the only nuance of that is, technically, we're anticipating absences in advance, because things could change, right? So let's say, a schedule changes and then, someone's present. So that would be my only concern, but there's nothing.
Ashley and I are sitting going, not
Well,
gonna happen.
I understand, and I'm being very, very nuanced, whatever, because obviously we all meet as a board, but no,
So we could take care of that in the language of the motion.
correct.
We could say,
Yes,
ma'am.
on
In the event.
in the event that the vice chair and the chair are absent on the June 27th, 2024 meeting, I
I move that
move that
whomever
so-and-so
is the chair.
Absolutely, and
But the
later,
problem is we don't have it on the agenda.
We can,
We're in 48 hours?
We're within time to
within the
do
48
that.
hour.
Okay, so let's do that then.
You're the chair, you can make that, you can approve that.
I approve that.
and then you all can also change your policies to reflect where, and anticipate absences, and maybe that would be the key
Yeah,
word,
I'm calling it.
absences. The chair,
I don't know that Ashley's
in absence,
calling
can designate a pro
I'm in
tem.
Wisconsin, usually someplace else.
So with that being said, would you like to keep your language, and I'll take that language and put it in our shell 0163? Or do you want
I'm
to?
okay with your language, I would just make the change where it
Okay.
says, if neither person is
In
available,
June?
any member shall be designated by a plurality of those
The
present at a
agenda
regular board
review on the
meeting
second.
At a regular board meeting.
to preside.
I'm leaving.
And that way,
for-
it gives it leaves it open so that if you know it's a planned absence, you
We're driving
can
up.
make
So-
it. And I like the idea of letting everybody decide together.
I'll get it on there. Somebody.
I
I'll make it
asked that, you just want to
happen.
read it,
Try
and
to
we'll
type
do it,
out
I'll
what
move.
she said, and we could do any clarification at the meeting.
Shall be designated by a
I will make it
plurality of those, no, by a plurality of those present at a regular board
Don't go to
meeting.
June 27th meeting.
Start.
I can't now, I guess.
We called it first.
After the
You're
word
leaving
present, there you go.
I'll be here.
Next week, right?
Yeah, but I come back the 24th,
No, I know, but when.
Okay, so this is
the
good.
14th.
Yes.
Y'all need to plan all your vacation times, and make
Are
sure we
you
have a
guys all good
quorum.
with that?
Get together,
I'm
compare your
excited for
calendars.
you. You're gonna have some fun.
I can't wait.
Right,
I
exactly.
literally, I will not be here for the 17th workshop. I will not even call in, sorry.
No, that's quite all right.
So should there be more specificity to quorum about physically present versus, like, there's only one line there, and there's nothing about, like, virtually calling in kind of thing. Should there be another line related to physically present for a quorum? Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
like
There is a-
voting in, computer in, or?
There's a rule in model rules, I believe chapter 28, that has parameters for that. You have to have two-way communication, I think, and
So you have to have 3 members physically present. If it's a 5-member board, you have to have 3 physically
That's
present.
statute.
That's statute.
Okay, so that's good.
But the catch here is any vote that's taken has to be unanimous. So if you have a 2-1 vote, it fails.
Wow. No, wait a second. Because in our policy, we state that we can attend the meeting
And
via
vote.
Zoom and vote.
That's absolutely correct. You absolutely, state
So
law
that's,
allows that.
I mean, it
But
could,
you have to have 3 members
Has to be 3 people
physically
in the
present.
Physically, okay. I'm good as long as it's in statute.
so they changed that after,
So,
they changed that after then.
well, so during
We
COVID,
used to
the
do
governor
COVID Zoom
waived that,
meetings.
right. So during COVID, the governor, through executive order, waived that part of the statute,
So now we're back to the original one.
So you have to have 3 present, you can have 2 not present that can call in and they can vote and participate, but if you have more than, or if you have 3 that are absent and only 2 show up physically, then you can't have the board meeting. You have to have 3 physical,
Got it,
physically
okay.
present.
Which is the next one?
All right, let's go to notice of meetings on 164.
I'm good with this one. This just follows the state
This
statute,
follows the
correct?
state, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
That's good.
And same with the next one.
Yes, ma'am. This is all consistent.
I'm good with that.
If you'll notice, you'll list kind of the statutes that
Yep.
it's
Yep.
the hyperlink.
I'm gonna, to save you all time, I'm gonna do my marking, let me just get myself, so 0164. I just need to fix, okay? Then you said 0165 is good,
It's good.
fix.
So this can be under school board member discussion.
Agendas?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, hold on. One.
So if you're looking at paragraph number 2 of the agenda,
7 days.
board members' hearings workshop shall be prepared in time to ensure the copy of the agenda may be received at least 7 days before the event of any person. I know the law goes into with all attachments as well. It says by any person in the state who requests a copy, but can we get our stuff ahead of time if the public's allowed to have it 7 days prior?
It just says at least 7 days, so it can be earlier.
She's referring to workshops,
So, this is.
not just the board meeting.
Well,
Is
it's
that
a
on a
workshop.
different policy?
It's under agendas, look at paragraph 2, the agenda for board meetings,
I just don't wanna-
hearings, and workshops.
It's workshops too, and I just don't want to ever get anything brand new the day of a workshop anymore. I honestly, Ms. Clark has talked about having time to prepare, and I honestly believe if we prepare, we're better able to have conversations about what we're supposed to be talking about. But to get things the day of is not working for me at all.
So right
I
now,
think
we're getting
the
them
fix-
5 days in advance.
I think the fix for that would be to postpone the workshop. So prior to this board, the purpose of that workshop was for the superintendent to present. That was the
I
purpose
just
of
don't understand it.
But that's not what you want. You want that workshop to be a time for the board to discuss.
I just want the information prior to read about
So
it.
like if you're doing, we're saying like the other day, the PowerPoint, that should have been given to us
Yeah.
already, instead of the day of, so that we can do our due diligence, do our own
Right.
study.
Or
And
instead of me
Changing
panicking.
the date and the time doesn't make sense.
It makes no sense. But I was panicking that morning. I mean, honestly, I couldn't see nothing. There was nothing, no attachments at all. That should never happen.
So, like I said, the previous board, when this agenda workshop was established, the purpose of it was for the superintendent and his staff to present to the board. It was not, if you had questions, you could ask them at that time, but the intention was not for the board to have a lot of discussion and questioning at that meeting. It was kind of to launch you into the agenda, and then you had the following week, and then the next following week until Thursday to meet with staff, make phone calls, get your questions answered
understand that.
individually. But if you guys want to change the format where
I
the
do.
purpose of the workshop is for us
To do work.
to discuss, then I think moving that workshop to a later date would give the superintendent and his
Right.
staff time to send us that information ahead
So
of time.
if you look at it from a month perspective, there's 9 days between the workshop and the actual board meeting. If you're gonna back up the time to get information an additional 7 days, you're giving us 10 days in a month to do the work of the month.
The problem is, well, I realize we have time between workshop and board meeting, but discussions are done in private. That was not the intent of a workshop, or board members should not be working in private when you have issues or challenges, as people say. We should be talking about with each other, not
Which is
one at a
why-
time.
That's why I'm saying, if that's what you want the purpose of the workshop meeting to be, then we need to move, what he's saying, he needs more time to prepare all of those items. So if we moved our workshop maybe
I don't
to
understand.
the Tuesday before the Thursday, so it's just 2 days before the regular meeting.
Well, are you saying if we look 2 months ahead of time, you can't get the material ready before a workshop? Is that what we're saying? The others?
Sometimes the work goes on the whole month.
No, I understand that, but if we took like a grace period, and you knew it was starting in like 3 months, you can move that 1 month prior, that clock that you guys work on 7 days earlier.
Can I add something
Yes,
to that
Ms.
also?
Yeah.
The other side of this is that for them to prepare for us, they need to know specifics. So for instance, I'll just use the budget as an example from this last workshop. There was nothing specified as to what specific part of the budget we were going to be discussing. As I recall, and this is my recollection from when the idea first came up. I didn't expect anything aside from, let's discuss where we might be able to start looking at where we can save money for the budget, in the budget for salaries or whatever. So it's not just providing the information, but it's also being specific as to what our needs are and what we want to talk about.
Well-
I mean, if we want to talk about specifically something, then we need to,
So I was
Be a
not
little
here
bit
for that
more
meeting,
direct, yeah.
and when we met with the labor attorney, we specifically were told we were not allowed to talk about the budget at this meeting. We would have to have
No,
another
that-
meeting, so we scheduled the budget meeting for this workshop. I was surprised that none of you remembered us talking, that we weren't allowed to talk about money during the labor union talks.
No, I
bargaining.
remember that.
And so as for specifics, it was actually brought up during our meeting with the labor attorney. As I said, I will do much better to make sure everybody understands that intent from now on in writing or something, to make sure there's no confusion. If we need to move the workshop, if that's what it is for the rest of Mr. Superintendent's career, and he needs us to move the workshop in order to give a 7-day notice, then I prefer that we have our conversation in front of our constituents, in public, not behind closed doors between the day of the workshop and the board meeting. I think it's important that our constituents hear the way we think. I mean, how are you ever gonna decide if you wanna vote for somebody again if you never talk about things in public? We have to stand on our virtues, and we have to talk about what we believe in, and that needs to be done in the public eye.
which we do.
So if we need,
Which we do.
no, between workshop, you have to call it a discussion, you go talk to the superintendent, or you ask people questions. That's not in front of the public.
Now, I will tell you, at the regular meeting, prior to us voting on the consent agenda, I always give the option for, is there any discussion? So at that
I
point,
know.
if there are things you want to discuss that are on the consent agenda, we can.
But then nobody else is prepared for that. Like, we're prepared
We
for a
should be.
workshop, we could prepare to work. I'm not sure,
But you're, and here again, the
Ms. Fuller,
sunshine,
I'm aware of how you feel.
no, not necessarily.
But there are members on this board, and I know at least 3 of us wished we had more processing time with the material prior to a workshop.
Okay.
I know that has been asked many times. What I'm asking you, Ms. Gilhousen, is how can we do that? If
I
we-
think I told you, we can move the workshop so
From
that it,
Tuesday to Thursday on the workshop, so we have Tuesday
Right.
right.
to review.
Would that be
And it gives them
sufficient?
extra
I
time.
mean,
We can do that, and certainly like
If we move it from Tuesday to
presentation of
Thursday?
Dr. McGutchew had, she was still working on that,
Right,
going into the weekend
right.
in order to get that ready and what she thought was what you wanted. So we could certainly do that. If it was Thursday, then you could. One of the challenges is that when it's 1 week prior to the board, when we publish the agenda 1 week prior to the board, the Thursday before, there really shouldn't be very many changes to that because the public needs that time in which to view that information. So I think the theory of why it's set up the way it is is so that there would be time, so if there was changes that needed to be done, so that when the agenda is published 1 week prior, that it is complete, and that was the intention of it.
So every time that I feel like I would like to discuss something, you want me to just keep pulling all that to discussion? I mean, is that what we're gonna do?
No,
I mean, is
said
there
No,
another
I mean, if you-
solution other than,
Well, we could get you the information as early as it's available to
well,
you.
it has not ever been to us very early. It's been the same since I've been on the board where you're getting stuff the day of on the table.
the
So
day
You
of
would
the
you would
workshop.
like a presentation prior to the weekend of.
I mean, to get budget stuff the day of, it's really hard to consume that. I mean,
Well, the purpose of the workshop in the past has been
To
for
have
whoever was in
discussion,
charge
yeah.
of that document to present it to you and talk to you about it. And then if you have further comment, if you have questions, you can call and ask through the week. And then if you want to have a public discussion at the meeting, we can do that. There's nothing, and you
And that
don't have to
should be-
move
I
it.
understand the traditional workshop, the way it's been here, this agenda workshop. Many counties don't even read through the agenda, the board
Right.
members read it on their own, and that gives them that workshop time.
She just wants to know, can you get
We
your
can
staff
get
to
it
do a hard day, like, hey, have everything in on Friday?
Sure.
Can we just do that? That way we don't have to change it and then not get it on Tuesday morning, hey, I just got this presentation. Let's just make sure all of our presentations are hard Thursday before the
So
Tuesday.
then maybe if it's not complete,
Or
just
Friday.
send it in its incomplete version.
Sure.
And then if there's additions to it, you could give that to us on Tuesday.
I've been tracking when your people put in the yes, you know how the little pie starts filling in with green? Majority of it's done way before that Tuesday. And so what I'm saying is on the few items that may not be, maybe there can be a concerted effort to work on that a little bit earlier.
You're talking specifically about discussion items, presentations.
I mean, budget stuff would have been important, you know? I
So
appreciate you
this is
sending it to me the day
we're
of.
good with this for 7 days and all
This
that?
is just,
Well,
a-
Madam Chair, if I could, I just want to apologize to the board in advance. I know it's not a presentation issue, but we're still trying to finalize changes to the sheriff's contract as we speak here. So y'all will be seeing hopefully a final version, but it's not going to be really as much time as I would hope to give y'all. But that's, as I'm sitting here and getting revisions, requested revisions from,
This is a
That attorney makes a good point, right? There are some times where it's out of control as to when the information's gonna be available. So
And
you're
I can
voting on a
decipher
contract
whether-
on Thursday, and you're getting it this afternoon
But
from the board attorney.
as an educated person, I can understand emergencies.
Right.
What I'm
and-
saying is the stuff
and you
we've
can
done
call
year
and
after
say,
year in the
hey,
same
your
time, I don't
contract's in your
understand.
mailbox. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that we can review it and have time, which is, I'm okay with that.
Absolutely. And the board always has the discretion, if we can, we do have a deadline with that, not to hijack
No,
this
that's okay.
conversation, but
These are great
obviously,
conversations.
this is a very real issue that's, as we're going through, I'm bringing documents to the superintendent to review so we can get this done, but obviously we can always postpone if need. We want to give you all as much time as possible to review this. And I think presentations are different than these contracts where you have multi-parties involved, but I just want to take the opportunity to
Well,
keep you
plus
all.
the same stuff we do every month is almost the same stuff we do every month. If they're gonna make changes to the student code of conduct, we know now in 11 months that it's gonna come back up. Like, what I meant by is we could just start like prorating time, like getting 1 day a week until we get a week early.
Kind of like you did the Math Ready, iReady, kind of like that, and give us that that's coming next month, so maybe have Govinda work on it, a month ahead of time. Stuff like that, I think is what. So we're good with this one?
Is this a good one? We're good? Oh, math is.
you may want to create a bylaw about the workshops. That's kind of unusual in this district. Neola doesn't have anything for that exactly, but, or
I think it's procedural.
it isn't appropriate for this one anyway.
Well, I mean, with what Ms. Hanson was saying, just so I can clarify, basically, when I get to the workshop, I feel that should be the time I discuss it with all of us.
Right.
And so if I haven't seen it before, it's hard to obviously have the time to go through it and know what my questions are. So if we have it on that Friday before, that's plenty of time.
165.2, regular
On the
meeting.
presentation.
I'm sorry, can I, Bonnie has asked on 165 agenda point 1 for part B, It says the agenda for each regular meeting shall be mailed or delivered.
I saw that.
Can we have delivered electronically?
And where are we?
B,
B, part B under 165.1 agendas.
Okay.
And it says delivered again at the end of the sentence, so you need to put it there too.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, yeah, that's old school.
Good catch, Bonnie.
Good job,
Yes.
Bonnie. Now go take a nap.
Okay, so it's B.
Yes, and she said also under
We don't mail
agenda
anything,
E.
Molly. We do deliver.
I'm sorry.
Electronically.
Electronically.
Delivered.
Where, what, you're on B?
B.
Where it
Mm-hmm.
says delivered, she wants it to say delivered.
Delivered electronically,
Delivered electronically.
yes. And there's one more request when we're done with that one. Agendas.
Proper time for the member to study the agenda.
And then where's the other electronically?
At the end of that, 7 days prior to the meeting or delivered electronically, so as to
it's
provide
in B,
time.
lower part of B.
That's redundant.
So comma, or delivered, and then put electronic.
Delivered, so after the word
7
delivered.
days.
Electronically. There you go.
Prior, yep, keep going, to meeting, or delivered, right there.
Delivered electronically, so just the addition of the word electronically.
The two sentence one almost say the same thing, sentence two.
And then you said E.
Part E, she says it seems to
Oh,
be.
back on the same one?
Yes,
Yep.
ma'am. It said 48. Right here it says 24 hours. We could do a 24-hour update, although currently we're doing a 48-hour update.
Right here at, you want to change this to 2048?
Well,
Why
for
can't
the
we leave it
board, but
24?
just something to bring to your attention.
Where, it says 48 up there, the
So
whole.
this is about having the agenda published to the
Yeah.
public.
For
So-
special meetings.
Right, so are you guys okay with 24 hours? Because what we traditionally do is 48. Do you want the public to have the agenda and the backup material 48 hours before a special meeting?
Yes,
I
I'd
think
rather
so.
have it 48.
I think so.
That gives them more time to review it as well.
And did you all need a break now, or are y'all okay?
We've only got 30 minutes.
We have 30 minutes, okay.
Keep going.
Okay.
We're almost done.
So where are we time?
The next one is regular meetings on 165.2.
I'm comfortable with that one.
Regular meetings once a month.
Okay, you're all good with the point two?
Yes.
Three?
165.3 is special and emergency meetings.
And so the whole front page is law, I'm assuming, and then we get down to two options.
Yeah.
Yes. Option 1 is if there is a daily newspaper of general circulation in the county.
I don't think that there is.
Not a daily
Not
newspaper.
daily.
Okay, take out option 1. And option 2 is if there's not a daily, you make an announcement on the radio station.
We would be jumping actually to option 3, posting a notice of the district's website. And then, we've done on the
The courthouse.
doorhouse of the courthouse.
Yeah,
Yep. A lot of places do that.
We do that?
yeah.
Yes.
Feels old school.
We don't put it in a newspaper at all, we just do on our website.
For an emergency.
Who does that?
It's like, you're talking like 24, 48 hours. I
Bonnie
mean,
come
24,
here
48
and
hours.
take it up there?
And
I
it
told
has
you.
to be published. We only have a weekly newspaper.
Man, where is option
2024, man.
Okay, so then tell me what you all
We have a
decided.
newspaper,
Yeah.
So we,
I don't see
Number 1 is
option.
deleted.
Option 3 on the next page, posting a notice of the district's website.
I think I must be missing a page.
No, it's under option 2, but she means number 3. Is that what you're talking about?
What about an emergency announcement on the radio station?
And
Option 1
Yes.
is required by state law. Choose this option Is there a daily newspaper of general circulation in the
So
county?
not that one.
So no.
No. But you
So
go to
under option 2, choose
Number
the
3.
option, if there's not a daily, oh, didn't even
We don't need that, I
notice
guess.
The district's
that. Got it. Yes.
You don't make
Number
the
3.
announcement, are you telling me?
Make
Strike?
an announcement,
Strike
we don't
2.
do an announcement on the radio station, no.
We do not.
a notice on the public district's website, and we post a notice on the county courthouse door.
What about the front door of the school district, of the
That's on
school?
our website.
No, every school, like before an emergency, the principal puts it there, so,
Because sometimes it happens when school's not in session.
well, I mean, that's what people would go to look though.
What about on the front door of every school?
No, I guess not.
No.
Gotta drive to Greenville to find out what's happening.
County courthouse.
You do not do number 4?
I would think.
County courthouse door. We do it on the county
Okay,
court,
that's
according to our
fine.
current policy.
Okay.
Strike 4.
Yeah, but,
And the
Mr.
district's
Brodsky, is it too
website-
hard to put it on a school for people who can't drive down to the courthouse?
No, it's gonna be on the website as well. It's posting a notice on the district's website. So
We'll
if
see
there's a
if there's a
special
hurricane.
meeting, they'll get it there first.
Unless they don't have
But
internet.
If they have internet, so I live in a district that may, 25% of people may not.
But Ms. Hanson, the schools would be closed on that situation.
So we wouldn't put it on a
Well,
school.
and if you want, they,
No, I was just saying.
hang on, and it's a better option instead of paper.
I think you might be on the wrong
School.
option.
We're supposed to be on option 2, and you're on option 1 making those.
No, option 2 has those. Option 2 has them as well.
I think
You're in option 1 though.
Oh,
She's doing it on her
Yeah, she's
thing.
doing it
You're
on
right,
option
I'm
1.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
I see what you're saying.
No, that, I was so, that's why I'm over here talking about 4 and 3, and I'm like, they're not matching, what is happening?
But
That's why
the other
I
thing would be a
was-
robocall.
So we
to all
do for
families.
option
So
number
what,
2,
do we
we
add
do.
that?
Yeah, add a robocall to all families.
Add the robocall.
But the
And it
only-
doesn't meet people who are taxpayers that don't
exactly.
have children,
Exactly.
but it gives
Yeah,
people the
It gives
option.
families a choice to answer their phone or not, which is,
Yeah.
and they leave a message if you don't answer, so at least we've done our best.
And then strike 2.
The courthouse thing has always cracked me up, because I don't even know where that door is.
No, take that out.
The front of the
I know
courthouse.
it's in there though. Like back in the day, 200 years ago, everybody probably knew where the courthouse door was.
Yeah, strike
And
this.
there's some of the jury.
And then you wanna add robocall?
Yes.
Well, I don't know,
Mr.
because it
Brodsky
just
said we
goes
could
to,
add robocall in the case of an emergency.
it just goes to families. It doesn't go to like people.
No,
who
you
don't
still
have
do the
kids.
courthouse, but
Yeah. you
But
could-
you're covering the website, you're covering the courthouse door, and a robocall.
Okay, does she need to add
we
that?
pay a lot of money for him to use that. He could make an emergency robocall to every family.
Does she need to add that, is what I'm asking?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll put it as number 5, I guess.
I don't
No, I'll
know.
just add it here.
Use it, Mr. Brodsky, use it well.
And what is your system called?
A robocall.
Robocall.
Superintendent robocall.
You get 6 women in
Robocall.
your life,
He's the only
7
one that does
women in
it.
your life. Are you excited about that?
Families.
Only Sue.
At least you have boys or kids, you know.
I wasn't thinking about it until Miss Skipper made fun of the courthouse door.
Josh has all girls.
Is there such a thing? That's what she said.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is
let's move.
It's like 200 years ago, we used to ride on the
DNF.
horses. All right.
Here's their problem.
That'd be good?
Yeah, I think that's it, right?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
What do you call it?
Oh, wait, no, we
just call it
do,
robocall?
Mr. Brodsky, we have, so F says, actions taken during an emergency meeting shall have the same force and effect as if taken at a regular or special meetings. In our current policy, there's an expiration date on action taken at an emergency meeting, where you have to.
That's in statute, if it's an emergency, and it's really the attorney should advise on this, but my understanding of the law is it's only in effect for 90 days
Right.
if it's an emergency.
And then it has to be put on a regular board meeting agenda.
Right, but this was referring to emergency meetings.
Right.
That was an emergency policy that I believe kicks off the 90-day timeframe.
Like it's a rule, you're creating a rule.
Mr. Block.
And that's taking on emergency policy. And the
So I think
emergency
it's- I think
policy
this is
should
just
not be
referring
valid
to
in excess
having an
of 90
emergency
days.
meeting.
Right.
That is an emergency policy
Right.
that we're referring to.
It's not the action of the meeting, it's the policy. Let's say we have to,
Well,
we have to
maybe
do an
another section?
emergency, well, we have to do an emergency policy.
Right,
It's enacted for 90
90
days
days.
until,
correct, but that's not what this policy says.
correct.
I think this
Correct.
is
This
just
is
having
just
the
for the
meeting.
meeting.
You have to authorize the same
Yeah, look
roof
at-
repair as an emergency.
Right.
Hire a contractor. You don't have to go back later and reaffirm that.
But
the
it
same.
says, right, but it says on F, actions taken, that's any action, taken during emergency meetings shall have the same force and effect as if taken at a regular or special meeting. So that would mean you don't have to ratify it 90 days later
No.
regardless of what the action is.
No.
So do we want to stick with that or our current practice of it expiring after 90 days?
No, I think what you're referring to is an emergency policy, which would have to be
Will that come
redone
up?
in
That's
90
this.
days.
Later on, an emergency.
This is just an emergency meeting.
This is
Okay.
the
Not
policy
a
for
Or we could
emergencies,
take
right?
action on the
Yes.
policy at
So
an
this is the
emergency
policy
meeting,
for
and then the
emergencies.
policy-
This is it.
No, it's two different things.
Two
No, he said this is it.
No, I understand, but this, okay, in our current policy, it says, I just had it, shoot. Emergency, the superintendent shall properly record the effective date of any such when it determines that the public health, safety, et cetera. School board policy and temporary disregard the notice and hearing requirements set forth in section 1 for the meetings. The superintendent shall properly record the effective date of any such emergency policy.
Well, this
And
is
the
our
emergency policy shall not be valid in excess of 90
Right,
days.
that's any emergency
From the
rule, it's
effective
not
date.
only, it's only valid for 90 days.
And that's the law.
And this does not conflict with that.
No, because this is talking about other actions, not
Okay.
not
Got
policies.
it, okay,
Okay.
got it.
I'm good with the recess policy.
Recess. We actually have a bylaw about recess.
I'm good with adjourning too.
You don't even ask for a motion, do you?
01654.
Don't you feel left out when she doesn't
Yep.
ask for a motion, for a
And
motion? to
1655.
All right, Bonnie says under adjourn,
adjourn? Ah,
165.5, we do not currently motion the adjournment. Is that
that's
something
what I
we
just
need
said,
to do?
yes.
Okay, so she was thinking.
Those are Bob rules.
Those are Bob rules.
Bob's rule, okay.
Bob rules
We do what we
versus
want.
Roberts, yeah, we're good.
All right,
So is this
all
one
right, you
good?
heard it, Bonnie.
Yes, it's good.
County rules.
Moving right along.
Because it doesn't say that we have to have a motion to
No.
adjourn.
mm-mm. If we were following Roberts to
usually
the
do,
T,
right?
we would.
We don't.
166 is exempt meetings. And this talks about meetings where the
Yeah, that's pretty
collective
heavy.
bargaining, shade meetings, and it explains the process for that, expulsion hearings, risk management.
Bonnie said thank you.
Yep.
Bonnie said thank you.
And that's just
Safety.
statute, right?
Yeah.
Just one less thing to.
And then workshops is pretty straightforward.
So we're good with
Yes.
166?
Yes,
Okay, I'll fix it later.
it follows the law.
1661 is good, I think.
Now, normally we do govern audience participation during workshops, and we've done that through policy. Is that something that we need to stick with?
Yes. I think so.
Then we may need to look at regular meetings also with, where do you guys address the amount of time that the public
We
gets?
do have that.
Yeah,
I'm
we'll
thinking
we'll have to look it up. Are we good with workshops, did you
Yes.
say?
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
We're just, the only thing we want to look at is audience participation.
We do
Yeah, at
have
all
that.
kinds
We
of
do
At
have
all
that.
kinds of meetings.
Yeah.
and
Well, that's in
workshops.
here somewhere.
It is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read it somewhere.
Audience, I have a question on that page. It's in here.
Okay.
We're not there yet, I guess. I
Yeah,
remember.
there's a whole section,
Okay.
0169.
So now we're on the voting,
Public
voting?
participation.
Yeah, voting. This will have to leave this up to the experts. Go ahead, Madam
This is
Chair.
all state statute too, right?
I believe so,
You
yeah.
gotta take
Yeah,
care of this one.
169.1 is public participation at board
Yeah.
meetings. We haven't
We'll
done
get
that.
there in a minute. Mhm.
So is voting good?
Yes.
Yes.
That's all.
Something about abstaining.
Is it good? People who know?
Yeah, that was good.
Okay, Bonnie said we do not read the minutes.
Well, technically,
It says under workshops 1001.4, when it takes the minutes are read and approved at the next meeting, and that we do not read the minutes.
but they're approved via the, read and approved.
So the word.
Technically, though, we don't read every single thing in the consent agenda, and isn't that in the consent agenda?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
So not everything is read out loud, the consent agenda.
So she's hung up on the word red.
Did you, at 167.1,
Electronic.
They're looking at 166.
166?
Workshop is,
I thought you
oh,
said.
no, sorry, yeah, that one.
The last sentence of 166 where it says that minutes of all matters discussed during work sessions to be read and approved at the next regular or special meeting. We don't read our minutes into the record.
Just say take out red, then just say approved.
Yeah.
Right.
166?
Yes.
What number is that on?
It's the second paragraph on 166. It's a short one. Workshops.
Yeah, so
You're on-
other people have that.
You're on
workshops.
extension.
Workshop, 166.1.
Oh, 166
She's on a
point,
different.
yeah.
The last little paragraph there.
Okay, let me go get to the right one.
To be approved at the next regular
Regular
session meeting.
special meeting, yes.
Work, 166.1?
Workshops, just take out to be read, or just say, take out read and then to be approved.
Correct.
Like I read.
Sessions. Take
To
that
be
out.
approved.
The chairman is.
To be strike read and.
Doing a great
That's
job
it.
over there.
Okay.
Seriously.
Did we do voting yet, 167?
Yes,
No.
we agreed on that.
We
So it was
Okay.
okay, I just need to put all this stuff on it. Now, 167.1.
This is about electronic mail and other social media. Some options here.
I'm fine with this.
Well,
Well, we have
there's selections, that's,
I'm okay with all the selections, honestly.
So,
Yeah, this is fine.
so I'm gonna mark A.
Yeah.
A is going to be listing messages from a board member, including the following, could be sent using district issued emails and other forms of social media. And so this is not a violation of anything.
So you're
You do
saying
this.
1 is good, 2, 3,
Yeah,
4,
yeah,
5?
yeah.
anything that's public record like that, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, furthermore,
Where previous- Oh, yeah, that's long though.
Yeah, that's the law.
Yeah, keep being.
yeah,
I want to talk about it. Done talking about it.
Minutes is pretty much standard. You do record them,
Yeah.
Yes,
so
yes.
it says tape record.
Is Bonnie
We'll fix
also recording the minutes?
I think maybe we could put video record.
Bonnie does it.
I would say
not
tape or video. There have been times where we've used
Audio only?
tape, yeah.
Okay.
okay.
For legal.
Mm-hmm.
For legal.
Audio or video.
168. We did minutes.
So,
Tape.
in this where it says
She said they
minutes,
do tape.
Ms. Gilhousen, if we have a forum and we're required to take minutes, should we add a section in there about how we recorded it electronically and then the minutes? So when we have a forum with more than one board member, we don't do minutes like this.
So maybe we could just say recordings shall be made of each meeting.
And it says the tape recordings shall also be referred to in the written minutes. So if we have the tape recording, we can just refer to it.
What
It
if we
doesn't have
just
to
don't
be.
be specific about what kind of recording and just say.
The
that
district has a way to put it up on
recordings shall be
the
made.
drive automatically. It'll be in the drive.
Just
So if we are not
take tape.
specific
say
about what
recording
kind of
shall be
recording
made.
it is, we just say recordings shall be made.
I like that.
And then don't just start the
It's
second
okay.
sentence.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
We don't need to refer to the recordings in the
Tape
written minutes,
recording.
right?
Right.
Right.
Because at the last workshop,
And at the second
technology
sentence.
hooked me
as well.
up.
Yeah,
And it went right to the
minutes
drive,
are
right to the
not
cloud.
a,
Sure.
a
detailed, it's a general overview of what was
Right.
done.
Right.
So
Right.
I think that when you had your workshop, Ms. Hanson, then that is generally put into minutes. It's not every word said by every person there.
So is this one good?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go, public participation in board meetings.
Yeah, that's.
The only question I had about public meetings is a lot of districts, it shortens the public meetings in a way, not that we don't want them to speak, but the first time they're allowed to speak has to be about the agenda, which follows right after they speak. So the first time they speak, for instance, if there's nothing about the media policy, you can't speak about it at that moment. So a lot of counties are doing where you can only speak about the agenda, and I hear the chairman saying, that is not on the agenda, and then they sit down. Then they give them a brief opportunity towards the end, when it was later like it used to be, for them to speak about what they want to speak. So I really like the idea of, because our discussions are after the public now, for people to address the agenda. And then if we want to, we could talk about it in discussion versus just an array of, does anybody like that idea?
Kind of like the commission does, is what I think she's referring to, where they have the agenda, you can only speak on the agenda items.
Yes.
And then at the end, if you strongly feel your voice needs to be heard, you've sat through that meeting, and then you can speak in the second portion of public comment of
Right.
whatever underneath the sun.
And there's usually not that many people.
And that would work beautifully if everyone was specific as to what they wanted to talk about
Correct,
on
a
those
lot of
yellow
times when
cards.
they fill out those cards, I have no idea what they're gonna speak about.
Well, and then that's
And
when,
they say general.
but I know, but see, okay, general, then you would call them at the end. You
Yeah,
wouldn't call
there's two
them
times to
for-
speak, because by the time it gets to the end, there's not
Yeah.
many people left. Because the people who want to speak about the agenda, and it's fresh in our minds, it's all that they talk about.
So the only argument I would have for that is there's gonna take some training of our audience. We have a lot of the same people that show up to our meetings, and they're used to the way that we do it. So I would have to very specifically, at the start of the meeting, let them know, if you are filling out a yellow card and you do not designate an agenda item on your
Yeah.
yellow card, I will hold your comment card to the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
If you have an agenda item that you want to speak about, it needs to be stated on the card if you'd like to speak before we vote.
And I agree, and I think if we do it for a few months, everybody's going to understand the
You're
procedure.
gonna have some angry people, but. yeah.
Well,
Okay, I just want to understand, because we do our discussion
right after, no. We move the discussion
move
right
it-
after the,
We move the discussion items ahead of the consent
Take
agenda.
discussion first, yeah.
that's why it's perfect.
So if the majority of the cards come for either consent agenda items or discussion items. So you have discussion items, you have consent agenda.
Right,
And
agenda
then you
items.
have other.
Right, so you would have one place for public comment at the top,
And that's
and that's
discussion
for
items.
any agenda item, consent or discussion.
Yeah, any agenda item.
Literally how the county commission does it.
But, well, I haven't gone to a meeting
then you-
recently,
So then you would
at the
have,
commission, so-
your agenda item, consent and discussion agenda items for public comment before we take up the discussion or consent agenda. And then after the discussion and consent agenda, we would have another section for general public comment.
So let me use an example. I am upset about the way that recess is being used at my child's school, and I'm gonna talk to the school board about it.
Yes.
So my comment, my upset parent comment, won't come until after we vote on the consent
Yes,
agenda.
correct.
In a general
Yeah.
comment time.
Yep.
So we'll have two general comment time, two comment.
We'll
One
have
is actually a
agenda
specific
comments.
comment
Two
time.
comment times.
Yeah, so public agenda comment section.
Yeah.
And a public general comment section.
Yeah, and the reason I say that is, you remember when, and I love our fine arts coordinator, whatever his name, Mr. Google, but I do remember there was almost 15 people, I think, that got up and spoke about him, and that's fine, but it was very distracting when it came to the business of the board. Like, I would like to talk about the agenda and maybe address people talking about the agenda items only, and it's within the power of the chair to I mean, I guess you would train them.
So items related to books then would not occur to the end of the meeting?
Yeah.
Well, and
we
our
would have to
current
wait till
policy
the end.
says that you can speak to an agenda item. It doesn't give
Right,
the
it does
option
say
for-
agenda item.
So,
Madam Chair, if I could, so just so y'all are aware, there is no general public comment under Florida law, it's not required. It's been litigated all over the Supreme Court, these are not free speech zones.
Yes.
The only requirement is that the public has to be allowed to comment on an agenda item. In many cities and school boards, you can have a vote in one meeting and they can comment, you can have a discussion one meeting, a month later vote on it. The earlier discussion from the public counts. Happens all the time. They'll have a discussion and public input in one meeting and then vote on the next. Some school districts and some boards have found that, just like what Mrs. Hanson said, it's distracting because you have people there for school business to have that. So a lot of them will put it at the very end of the meeting. If you're gonna have general public comment, do it at the very end. That way people can comment on it. That way you can get the business, because these are business meetings. Y'all can get the business conducted. Also, you don't have to do general public comment.
Right.
There are political and public policy reasons to maybe do that, but it is not required. Not to draw my personal experience, but we were sued about this in St. Johns County, and a federal judge reminded the plaintiff that there is no requirement for general public comment. The local government and school districts can decide not to do it, and no constitutional rights are being violated.
You can also turn off the cameras during.
And our own
Yeah,
policy
which happens
says,
with
general
most
comment,
schools,
our
yes.
own policy currently says, and we don't follow that, to address the agenda. And you're right about that.
We've
That's-
gotten away from it. We used to do it more specifically like that.
And people who complain they're sitting there so
I remember doing
long
it more
to hear the
specifically.
board's
I remember, well,
business, this
depends on
solves
the
both
chair.
problems.
So what did you
Some-
say, they turn the camera off, what was that?
At the end, when you have the public input, you just
You don't have
turn
to
off
have
the
it.
camera and let them, so they don't have a stage.
Yeah, it's not required, so you can turn it off.
And what we've been told by many districts, it just, they lost their audience.
They lost.
They were playing to the camera.
Well, 100%.
This is a great plan.
Well, in some counties,
that.
so the public comment is that you have 3 minutes at the very beginning, and
Correct.
that's everything. You have every agenda you're gonna comment on, you have 3 minutes, one 3 minutes to do for the whole agenda. So if you have 30 agenda items, now some of y'all's neighbors do it where every single agenda item, everyone at recess for 3 minutes,
No,
and drag the
no.
meetings on for
That's
days.
been, no.
So.
And you have to keep to the agenda.
Absolutely, so y'all
Yes,
could
sir.
consider doing at the very beginning, agenda-specific public comment. Everyone gets 3 minutes to comment on every single agenda item, just right then and there, not every time or reset it. And that counts as public comment.
And if we did general comment at the very end, the superintendent's remarks would still be recorded. Our school board comments would still be, remarks would be recorded,
You turn the
and
camera
then
back
you turn the
on.
camera off.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there are many, and I mean, we
Especially
We
right now in this
produce
county.
every workshop as well. There are many counties that don't do anything with workshops.
That's
They're
correct.
just here.
So-
We don't put them on YouTube.
Do you
There's
guys
no
like
further-
that idea?
Yeah.
I do.
Do we have
I
consensus
do,
on?
yeah, I like that idea.
And then we could cut it off on the general comment?
I'm fine with that.
That works for me.
Can I ask this, because I'm looking at the board agenda, when would you want to do that? Because, and I'm saying this for Bonnie, I'm channeling my Bonnie here, that she's already, so on Agenda Plus, she does have it already,
Yes.
people submitted it,
It would not
so.
apply for that, because this would be a policy change.
This would be,
Oh, so okay, so
Yeah.
you guys are even thinking you wouldn't even do this before next year at all? You
Oh,
wouldn't
no,
even
we
change
could
your
do it. It's
existing
in our
policy?
policy.
Right.
You can implement it
Yeah, it's in
now.
our policy now.
Not for Thursday's meeting.
Not for Thursdays or June 27th.
I would say
The
we
reason is I
We
have,
have two separate public comments sections. Wouldn't that be a policy change?
Well, it doesn't say we can't do
I
it.
think that's procedural, isn't it?
That's usual.
That's not policy, is it, Mr. Blocker?
Well, so the chair, so the absence of a specific policy, the chair can set general public comment at different times. However, if y'all have a policy that says, hey, the public will only address the board during these certain times, and that has to be followed. I believe your policy, I can pull it up here, I believe the policy, do you
Got it.
have it? Okay.
Public comment. A member of the public who wishes to comment or speak about a matter on the agenda of a school board meeting shall, before the meeting begins or as soon as possible thereafter, and using the speaker cards provided, submit in writing his and her name, address, the name of any organization or group represented, and the agenda item number or
There you
topic which the speaker wishes to address.
Agenda item.
Those who are speaking on agenda items shall be permitted to do so before the board takes action on the agenda item. At the discretion of the presiding officer, a member of the public may address the board on a non-agenda item. A time limit of 3 minutes shall be imposed on each public comment speaker unless the time is extended by the presiding officer. The board will accept written comments beyond the time allotted. Speaker cards shall not be accepted after the school board begins the discussion agenda. Only the individual submitting the speaker card is allowed to address the school board for a lot of time. Speaking time may not be yielded, which is the same. Superintendent and school board may ask, the superintendent and school board members may ask questions of and request further explanation from the speaker. The time used by the superintendent and school board members for questions and explanations shall not be counted against the time allotted to the speaker pursuant to this policy. And yes, I remember that there have been situations where the chairman has said, you will be talking on C20 or whatever, or on this particular, and these cards are going to be held until the discussion item, or the discussion item has been brought before the consent agenda, and we're going to hear these speakers for this discussion item. So it has, even on Agenda Plus, so Bonnie wouldn't have to change anything.
No.
In addition, there have also been times when someone is speaking and a board member has asked for clarification on that item.
Right.
So, you know, I don't like the fact that we're not using chocolate milk. Could you explain what flavors of milk that you're referring to? You know, something, whatever.
So you don't think we would need a separate item on the agenda for general public comment?
If you were to present it as the chair, and you would say, we have now closed the opportunity for the yellow cards, because we say that anyway, you already say that. And then you may say in the initial verbiage that you read, we have said, could you give the information to the police officers or whatever, give your comment cards, to the police officers, welcome to the public, blah, 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 blah. And you could add a line at that point, literally this Thursday, and say, just a reminder, we're starting a new procedure. It's not a policy, it's a procedure that we will be asking you to, for those of you who are speaking on a consent agenda item or a discussion item, we will be pulling your cards up at that time, so please be specific as to what you would like to speak to. For those of you who are bringing us general comments, you will be speaking after the consent agenda.
Okay. And we don't.
That's it, that's a procedure.
You could read our
And that
policy, it's so
way-
clear, it says speak to
After
the
the
agenda.
consent
I mean, I'm not telling you what to do as a
Because it
chair.
goes
The
discussion
policy speaks
agenda, then
very
consent
broad. I mean,
agenda,
boldly for what we
then
want.
general comments.
Was general comments at the end of the.
At the end of the meeting, so we
So in other words, but,
Before
okay,
our board comments.
before our board comments.
Yes.
Which, I mean, what
Well,
comes
unless you want your
after
board
the
comments to be
consent
heard, you could do
agenda,
them at the end.
Then we have a couple of presentations usually from the CCS, whatever.
And since the board has a choice, you don't have to rearrange. She could say the general comments will be held at the end of the,
The general comments will be held until the
Yeah.
conclusion of,
yeah.
I
The
would
meeting,
just
the
say,
business of the
the
meeting.
business of the meeting, yeah.
And it really
So
solves a lot of problems.
before our comments, so that if we want to comment on anything, it's there. But I think that's.
Well, one of the concerns with this is that frequently the superintendent will hear general comments about a complaint about a school or a situation or a process or whatever, And the superintendent, in his comments, before the superintendent's update, will have the opportunity to react to those
You
comments.
can still do that at the end.
So you'll do the superintendent's updates, but we would want the general comments before your comments,
No.
before Mr. Blocker's comments.
We want to get to our
And before-
business and have it at the end, and then we don't have to televise that portion.
After.
But you could still speak to
So
someone.
we're talking about after board member comments, not before.
Right.
So you would have
No,
school board
before-
attorney remarks, school board member remarks, and then
General,
public
yeah.
comment, and then adjourn.
No, I don't like that.
That's what I was thinking.
I like
The camera
their
is working.
general comments and then attorney
Attorney
comments and board comments.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
Because that way we have an opportunity to speak to
To
their
respond
concerns.
back.
So I just
If
asked
they're
you,
just bringing up.
does the camera have to run through board comments? And that's part of our meeting, so it has to. So if you want general comments before board comments, then the camera just keeps on running right through all the general comments.
You can't turn it off?
You
and then they
cannot turn it
right
off and back on, is what she just
No,
said.
that, it has to be, you record your meetings, right?
Yes. It's still
Is that part of the
it's
meeting?
before the adjournment.
Yeah.
It's before the
So you
adjournment.
adjourn and then you let them do their,
Yeah.
I don't want to adjourn, I understand it's helpful to sometimes turn the camera off. However,
I think you could
I
do
don't
it
want
on
to adjourn
TV.
without getting some
The
general.
whole purpose is to make sure that the majority of speakers are addressing
Recording.
agenda items.
I know.
Somehow.
And then we can hear them at the end as to their concerns, and we could email them, we could have Mr. Brodsky write down names, he could get their number off the card. There's a whole lot of ways to adjust general comments, to address general comments, a lot of different ways. And I would say we're still there when they make general comments, if Ms. Skipper still wanted to make,
So since this is a procedural issue, why don't we discuss it further? I hear your concerns and I will get with the superintendent and with Ms. Honora and we'll hold general comments till later in the meeting. As far as the cameras and all that, the technical side of things we can figure out, but we're running on time.
I'd be good with the agenda
We
part
may
of
be
it.
able to
Yes,
beef this up a little bit in some ways and we'll.
so are we gonna hold on this one?
No, keep
No, we
going.
can move forward.
Right now, the public participation is still
For
good.
agenda,
The 3 minutes is the same as you have now, so.
Yeah.
for agenda
Everything else
items.
is okay on this?
Yeah, but I
We
think
have
they want, I think they
But we
want.
have to pick A
Yes.
through E.
Do you guys want to hold this one? Because the other ones are pretty straightforward and we can revisit just this one
Yeah, we
policy
could.
later.
Because our policy
After
covers what
y'all
we're just talking about.
Okay, we'll just hold this and then work on it separately.
Yeah.
What is duties?
After they get us straight.
Yeah, it's an odd one. It's,
Oh, gosh, yes. Do we want to change anything from our mission statement or anything? And student learning, bottom line.
I'm good with duties. Are you guys good with that?
Yep.
You good with policy review?
You have a mission statement?
Yeah.
Probably want to include that in here.
With under
Somewhere.
duties?
No, in
Jumping to 170.
philosophy and goals, maybe?
Policy review.
Where are we at? Policy review?
What policy are we on?
Philosophy and goals.
171.
Okay. Well, there are different sections of 171, right?
Well, the next one's 171.1.
Right.
So we're good on 171. So he's talking about 171.2.
Right, correct.
Are we good with 171?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. And point 1 looks good too.
Yeah, 'cause we're
Also.
doing that now, and then we'll keep reviewing later, right?
But 171.2 is where you want to put the mission statement?
Well, we'd find a place for it somewhere, but, you know.
You're telling me 171.1 is good?
Yes.
Okay.
And point 2 is pretty straightforward too. Yeah.
You see if there's a place in,
This is
Involve stakeholders.
Yep.
Just saying they're just gonna have to.
So when we do these policy reviews, if someone were to show up to speak, a stakeholder about a policy, do they do that? Can they do that during these meetings?
They
as
can
we
only
do
ask
policy
questions.
reviews?
We probably have to review 169.
Well, I'm asking because stakeholder input's important on,
Anytime they come to a workshop, they can ask questions. And in their questions, they can request policy. I'm asking, would you please review this policy because I don't like the way it says this and that. You know what I'm saying?
they can only ask
They-
questions
And
normally
they
though.
but they're forming they're
But
telling us their
remember, you're not
opinion in the
taking-
form of a question.
But a workshop, you don't
Like
take any action,
Yeah.
No, we're not at a
so there's
workshop.
no
we
real
won't.
proposition.
Right. But if they bring a concern to us, that's something that
That's
we
optional if
can.
you want to have that.
Yeah.
Are you going back to the public participation?
I was on the review of policy. Community
She was just
relations,
asking if people can
171.3, community relations.
I think what you guys are talking about specifically, we can add, this particular piece of it, I think we need to revisit
Okay.
altogether. So as far as public participation at meetings, we'll
No,
we'll hash
this
that
is
out.
policy. No,
She's
look
talking
at-
about
But for
171.3.
community relations, I'm comfortable with the language
I-
here because
yeah,
we'll be
me too.
specific in public, how we handle
Yeah.
it in public.
So are we good with
I thought you were referring to
171.2?
review
Yes.
policy.
Yes,
Let's talk about the one before that, talked about stakeholders input. When do we get that?
When the advertising.
73, 171.3?
yes, they said that was okay.
Okay.
Yeah, community relations.
171.4?
I'm good with that one.
Yep.
And this is statute
Mhm.
172.
Visiting schools, yes.
That's the statute, right?
Is .4 good?
Yes.
And I like the next one because it says, board members may have suggestions and feedback, but tell the superintendent directly, nobody else.
I think that's good.
171.4?
Yes, that's
Yes.
good.
172?
Good.
Yeah.
So we'll just revisit 169.1.
And that's the last one.
Yeah.
So that's great. Well, thank you very much. This is a big help to us when we edit them. We will see them again, they will come back to you. Not in a workshop, it'll be actually for the adoption.
But when it's over,
So when this is, we can go by our current policy until we figure this out, right?
Absolutely, yes.
And you could just update people, read the policy maybe?
And if you decide to change your policy during the next year, before we can adopt this, we'll incorporate those changes in the new.
So why don't we plan to discuss this at our next workshop? So come, have it reviewed yourselves, kind of get your mind around what you want to see it look like. And
Could you
we'll-
give notice to people at this particular meeting, read the policy and explain how they should address agenda items? If you read the policy to them?
comments at the end.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I can direct that we're speaking to agenda items specifically. And if you have general comments, then I'll hold those till after
Yeah, I
the
mean, that's
business
fine for
is
now,
finished.
right?
Yeah, but as far as ratifying this particular policy,
Yeah.
let's all be prepared to have consensus at our next workshop meeting so that we can move forward with this.
And my question, will you be at the next workshop meeting?
I believe so.
I will not be, but I will be calling in,
The 17th, yes, I will be there.
and it's Monday the 17th
I'll be here
at
because
9
it was a
a.m.
disaster when I called in, so I'm not missing
Yeah,
any more
and I
meetings.
will,
This watch will be here
I'll be
17.
calling in, so,
Are you good with us taking that up then?
absolutely,
Okay.
yes,
That way we can
yes,
get
So
this
change
finished.
the
yes.
date.
Ms. Skipper's not here, right?
I will not be
Okay.
here.
And Ms. Bola will not be here, so
I will
us
not
three
be
have
able
to be
to call
here.
in.
Yeah.
Are you
Well,
okay with us
yeah.
taking this up then?
Sure.
Okay. All right, so if
And
everybody's.
if Bonnie would just send me a copy, and then I could cut and paste it and put it into the shell.
So I have a question. If there is before you guys, I know you guys have to go, but if there is a policy that I want prior to our year, how do I get, because I'm looking on your website and stuff, you don't just post your policies on here, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so how would I be able to get a copy of what you already have to be able to discuss it like at a workshop prior to getting to it when you guys get there?
Do you mean like one that's in draft? What are your draft policies?
No,
No,
like
you're
I
talking
want
about
to, I want
formally important
to
policy.
submit a visitor policy, for example. Could I see your guys' visitor policy to be able to get it approved before the year?
Oh, it's really dangerous to do a standalone policy like that, because it may impact, I don't know.
What we would recommend is that you amend what you have now. We'll show you what our template looks like.
So we don't
Right.
have one right now.
You don't have any visitor policy?
Well, we
We
do,
have
but
a
it's,
little bit.
it's not what I want.
She wants a
Sorry.
more stringent visitor policy
Well,
that we have. We have a policy.
we clearly need to.
We'll make a copy of ours here with
Yeah,
our
we'll send it
client,
to-
and I'll send it to Kelly.
Yep.
and-
Okay, that's what I want to know. That's what I want. I
And it's
just
on
want-
what topic? It's visitors on campus?
Yep.
Yes.
Like, we have one, but I mean, like, in a.
It needs to be more thorough,
Like
and
any county,
updated.
the two counties, Alachua or Lee, because I just, when you brought it up the last time, that's where I went to look, and there was
Some public-facing documents.
Yeah, there were more. there was some meat to
Alachua
it.
has it, Putnam has it, these are.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what I would say is, you have a policy, but then the superintendent, you and your staff can create administrative procedures to implement that policy. So that's where you can beef it up right away.
Because you can add extra procedures, right, if something wasn't covered?
Oh, yeah.
We just can't change the policy, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it takes a long time to do a policy. That's why the superintendent has the authority to have the administrative procedure.
Right. And he does, but I'm saying for, as far as like board policy, what I was looking for.
Be careful with that, because you vote on something, then you realize it doesn't work, and then you're stuck with it for, 60 days. So that's why it's strategy-wise, have your policy, then have your staff implement administrative procedures. And if it's not working, you can change it overnight.
So
It just gives you more,
Other counties,
ways
but
to
I was just
operate.
trying
So on
to
that
get
note-
their actual.
We get you.
If we can't,
Just look
if
at
we're
it.
holding off on policies, until we're
That's what I was
done,
up-
Yeah, yeah.
then I just want to know, can we go through him to see if we can get,
We can just.
if we want to change the procedures, handle the policy problems that way?
You can
Well,
always make
what
a
I'm saying-
request.
You can always go through.
What I'm
them.
saying is we're not changing any policy, so we're all done, right? So if we have a concern about a policy, and you agree, or it's within your limits, I mean, you could set up procedures to support what we have a problem with
Right.
prior to us adopting the policy?
Yes.
Well, and Ms. A, if I can, I think a great example of this is Mrs. Skipper had a concern, there was a safety issue with the visitor policy, and that was brought to the superintendent's attention, so he could act on it. So he doesn't have to wait for the board to do a policy, he can, the specific.
you can get business